Welcome to episode 37 of Saturday Morning with a Side of Tech. Well, Saturday Morning with a Side of Tech with my buddy Juan Carlos Bagnell, not wearing his red hat.
I can move to red hat if you want me to move to red hat. Hold on. So much crap on my
if this is
desk.
how it's going to be. Yeah, man. But yes, so welcome back. It is Saturday, September 12th, right? Yeah, September 12th,
Yes.
middle of September over or whatever the apocalypse. Here it is, some
There
red
we
hat
go.
guy. Yeah, I
That's
tweeted the cover sheet for this video, or the cover for this video has both of us showing our portrait images from the Surface Duo.
Yes,
So
I'm so sorry. So TK reached out last night and was like, "Hey, can you just shoot a quick photo of you holding the Surface?" And I went, "Absolutely, I can." And then that information immediately ejected from my brain, and I completely spaced getting you that photo. So going with the selfies, I think, was a very smart play on your part.
It was the best thing I could do, with the information that I had. But the best thing is, we're both actually getting a chance to play around or use and test out a device that is fresh. It's a new phone, a new
For sure.
A new type of experience. And I'm actually going to do one slightly different here. I'm going to actually show it with the pen. So here, there's the pen option, and I think you have the Surface Pen, right? Or are you using the Bamboo?
No, I'm using the little mini Surface Pen.
Oh, yeah. So I'm using the standard Surface Pen. I guess that's the one that comes with the Surface laptops. So I realize I'm a lot further away from the camera than JC is. So yeah, here we are. So you gotta kind of see that, and it is absolutely a lot of fun.
It really has been.
I got a chance to play with it a couple of weeks ago at Best Buy, mostly just to kind of see how it is. And honestly, that didn't do it justice at all. Like the impressions I walked out of it, even though were good, having it, being able to put it in my pocket, walking around, actually picking it up and answering calls, using it as a phone and the dual functioning.
But I do want to say, man, like, big props. Like I am becoming agoraphobic, like I want to go outside these days. And like I put out that editorial talking about Microsoft's PR strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you to drive out and hit a Best Buy and actually play around with the software, just give us that first look. I really appreciated you making that effort, because this is a phone that I feel needs its time.
It does.
To talk about. And it's funny that even with you playing with it on these early shipping days for consumers, you actually have more experience with the phone overall than I do. So.
purely by a mere number of hours, I can say that I felt very. It took me a while, by the way. Not every Best Buy had it, and it took me about like 5 Best Buys to find this one. I was driving, seriously. Like I would call them, and they're like, "We don't have it. We don't have it." And even the one that I did end up finding one at that had a demo didn't know they had it. So that was partially part of the communication there, but. It was just that I felt like so excited. So I was never part of the, we're not part of the early access and so on. And Best Buy came to the rescue. That's all I can say. And in Best Buy fashion, they typically have these devices in there, and we'll see them. So that got me excited. And believe it or not, that day is when I put in the order for this. And I was trying to collaborate with one of my buddies that, just for reference, this isn't my unit, sadly. This is actually a friend of mine's. And he was very, very gracious and allowed me to actually open up his brand new toy. So let's just say that's how gracious it is. If you appreciate your tech and you know how much you want to open it up, he let me open it up. So
that's
first and foremost,
I never let anyone peel off the screen protectors on my new gadgets. That's all for me. So big ups to your buddy.
All I have to say is Mr. Q. He's a big supporter of the channel. Mr. Q from Rakami TV is a buddy of mine from Qatar. Great fan and great supporter. So actually the main reason why I even have an Arabic channel is because of him. He sat me down and he's like, "You speak Arabic and you don't have an Arabic channel? How does that make sense, TK?" So Short answer, long story short, this device for me, though, sadly means I am going to be shipping it out very soon. But it also kind of a little bit of a teaser. We're going to talk a little more about that in a few more minutes about an upcoming collaboration between Juan Carlos and myself. And of course, we're going to be going back at it as we did it before. And I think a lot of you guys enjoy and love when we start going back and forth with tech, especially our favorite type of tech.
I just think this is a tradition I think we need to kind of like entrench on our channels, is like a yearly challenge between
exactly
our two channels. And it's it's, I mean, like from what was it? Our first one was a G7 versus, was it the P20?
I want to say the P20, the P20 Pro. It was
P20 Pro.
Huawei versus LG. We were at the zoo. We were hanging out back in the days which by the way, the zoo is open again somewhat with
I think
appointment.
maybe a revisit is maybe in our cards, because I definitely need to get my zoo membership back up to date.
Exactly. And well, actually, when the weather gets a little bit better, that would be the other. Hopefully,
yes. That when our state's not on fire and it's not 120 degrees out, you and me have a zoo date on the books for whatever those.
We hit 119 last weekend. That's crazy.
Oh,
119. I mean, 1 degree away from Inland Empire, and they're usually the hottest. So it was crazy. We have Tech Night News in the chat, watching it on his Surface Duo. So that's an Inception thing going on. Surface Duo on a Surface Duo with a Surface Duo.
Yo, dog, I heard you like the Surface Duo.
That's what I heard. And then one of our other buddies is also watching it on his tab, but he's waiting on his Surface since the tracking is a little bit delayed.
Oh, and Oliver, excellent! You're getting one too. Good job, man.
Which is the cool thing. That's one of the things. Like, I was worried with the initial impressions that we started to see online, but I think a lot of people are very excited for this form factor. And of course, David Burns in the chat. The nerds are live. Of course,
I love it.
Aditya, as usual. Yeah.
Oh, it's Sabaho.
Hey, Sabaho, man. And a whole bunch of other. So we have David. We've Muhammad Nasir, Oliver still in there as well. Chemi's in there. Donald Lozimo. Lozimo. He's from that. Started doing the stream stuff. I actually got both your shows. Yeah, you guys do better. I appreciate it, man. No, always. Thank you for being you. It's partially one of the reasons why we do these is the ability of hanging out and talking with everybody. Also, it's an excuse for me.
This is our water cooler chat too, so you'll just have to pardon the weird tangents that we're going to go on, and that's the only time I get to talk to DK.
I was seriously, like, I looked at the channel and I'm like, when was the last time? It was back in May. It was like so long, and so. Long story short, we are going to be covering Surface. We are on a little bit early, so I do apologize for that one. And just to kind of let you guys know, we are going to be talking about somewhat of our impressions of the device. Now, we've had both retail units of the device for the last 48 hours, roughly. I picked up mine. I did a pickup from, by the way, Best Buy pickup. Absolutely fantastic. I was very at 10 a.m. I rolled up, pushed the button. The guy came out. He's like, "Do you want coverage?" I'm like, "No, I'm okay." Handed me the phone and I walked out. I'm like, could not have been easier. So if there's ever a thing that does carry over after this entire pandemic thing kind of, normalizes or whatever, curbside pickup, keep that, please. I like it.
I gotta say, I mean, for when it's like I'm always trying to find like the fastest shipping or the best pickup option or something like that, and going back to the Nokia 9.
Oh man,
like Best Buy is back on my radar. As again, it's not like what it used to be where I would go in and shop for computer parts and stuff like that. It's definitely shifted over in terms of its retail strategy, but it's been really handy having that as like the backup option for when I might not be able to do like a direct sale through a manufacturer website.
Oh no, absolutely. And but I do actually I miss the days where Best Buy used to be a more of a center for basically PC parts. Now their PC department's pretty much laptops, monitors and so on. And I think their peripherals section is literally tucked to the side. So but for that, there's always Newegg. For that, I always, not that I'm trying to plug Newegg for any reason, but it is where I generally go for my parts when it comes to PC.
I appreciate that. I'm going to send that to my boss.
It is. It's where you go for Newegg, and make sure to check out Juan Carlos's videos on Newegg. Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag not paid. Where's the?
No, you just gave them a free plug, so they'll be very happy with that.
So, here it is. So, we have our first super chat. Wow, that was a good morning. Do you get
Nick?
Yeah. Do you think in your opinion, would it change if it was only a phone for 6 months?
If it was your only phone for 6 months. So TK, you've got to dump everything in your phone locker and only use the Surface for 6 months.
And with the newest on the okay, so I'll say this: if it's my only phone for 6 months, my only thing that I would have a problem right now, at least, and it's not like it's a problem for me. It's just photography, being able to take pictures. So that would be my only kind of challenge on this. The hardest thing that I would do. But since in most times I carry two phones always, that's partially
No.
why.
I'm gonna hold the Nick here.
You're gonna
Nick
hold me
says
there.
your only phone for 6 months. I'm putting TK.
That's a very hard challenge. That is a very, very.
But I mean, seriously, it's not to apologize for the Surface Duo.
No,
I mean,
yeah.
For a lot of our conversation here, I'm like, let's preface this right now. We are of the opinion that this is something new, that It's not the same kind of phone with the same kind of expectations. So the second I pick up the Surface Duo, I lean into a different pattern of behavior than when I pick up my OnePlus 8 Pro or my LG V60. And again, for a lot of folks out there who feel like, no compromises and everything needs to do everything, this already makes me feel like I'm going to be way more multitasking productive than most regular phones. And I automatically think about, what smartwatch do I wear and do I need to bring a camera with me?
So that was the thing. As you were talking,
it changes your behavior when you have different expectations on what this part of the gadget equation is going to solve.
Because it has a spot in a YouTube. Well, I'm not going to say YouTuber, but essentially in a technology needs space. It does the job of the phone. It does a tablet job. It has multitasking, Windows ecosystem, and Microsoft 365 integration built into this. You log in with your Microsoft account. That's one of the setup processes of this device. So to me, it would be basically, I would be able to carry it for 6 months without a problem. And what I would end up doing is using my RX 7100 Mach 7 as my camera, which is exactly what I would have loved to, because that would even up my game when it comes to video and actually photography, because that's an actual camera. Even though it's a pocket camera, it's definitely better than what we get with our, small sensors that we have on our devices. So it's doable. I don't think it's impossible.
And the converse of that statement, and I'm not sure what your experiences have been with trying to push into some of this territory, TK. So I'd love to hear your opinion on this too. When we start pushing into ultra premium, it's my assertion that the higher you climb on a phone price, it should be able to help you reduce tech costs for other types of screens.
It's
other
the
types of processor powered gadgets. And so already, when I can pick this up and I have a cute little folding Bluetooth keyboard to go along with it, this $1,400 phone means that I'm not carting around my $2,000 laptop to get most of my work done. And I feel very confident that I'm still getting most of my work done in an effective fashion. So while I have to move one gadget into the strategy, if I want to have a good camera, I get to eliminate a much more expensive gadget from the setup when I'm out and about. So that to me is like, it's not one compromise equals deal breaker. That's other YouTubers. If you want that kind of commentary, go watch some other channel.
Wrong channel.
Channel. But that's what we're talking about in terms of capabilities. Is this becomes insanely functional for one type of productivity? It should help me eliminate something else. If it's a tablet, if it's a laptop, potentially even a desktop. I don't know. Have you tried plugging this into like a laptop dock to give it an extra monitor and stuff?
I plugged it into my USB monitor, and it did actually support it. It did actually get power, and nice. I was able to get mirroring off of it. Although my Android desktop didn't work, which I couldn't figure out why. So I tried forcing it, and it would not turn on.
It does not work
at all. Yeah. Like it bonks. The screen goes black for some reason, and then if you restart it, it just goes back to normal screen mirroring.
Oh, mine hard crashed. So forcing desktop mode caused it to boot, and it cycled. But this is also, I mean, like, again, because you're kind of with me and like only living with it for a couple of days. But even while I was doing my setup stream, the decisions Microsoft has made for their UI over the whole device kind of help negate the need for a secondary, totally separate desktop mode. And it's really exciting to see, like, this is not phone UI. This is desktop UI meets tablet UI with kind of a part-time phone UI, and it all folds up and fits in your pocket. So that to me is a totally different conversation than what like a OnePlus or a Samsung or an Apple, what they're trying to say a phone should do.
Mhm.
This is not a phone in that same kind of traditional sense.
It has a phone in it, but it's not just that. That you have to, yeah. So you can send and receive calls, and
Do you believe in the philosophy that phone is the least used app on your pocket computer? Allow me to introduce you to the service too.
It is. It absolutely weird. Like we're at a point in time now where a lot of us communicate with each other more via text, via messages, voice messages, and all that. And literally, the phone call is almost the least common communication tool that we use. What I liked about the UI that we have on the Surface is the ability, like what Juan was saying essentially is, like if you open up YouTube and you go to full screen, it's not a stretched YouTube, it's desktop YouTube. You actually see the menu, you see the videos on the right, you see the other options. And when you tilt it the other way, you're looking at the entire page of how YouTube is supposed to look like. You can actually scroll down, you can hit the comments. The experience, I feel like, there's so many refreshing ways of using your system. And when you're using it, it literally, like I explained this a few weeks ago when I had Max on, and I said, this is literally Windows meets Android on a phone, but a tablet and like an experience. So
I feel like the point gets glazed over. I'm watching a bunch of Surface Duo reviews where, it's running Android. Microsoft doesn't care about Android. Microsoft is not trying to make the best Android they can. They are using a platform to try and make a pocket Surface, and every decision on this thing kind of points in the direction where it shouldn't be judged on whether or not it's the Androidiest solution. This is a different flavor of that, and the Surface has always been a different flavor.
Exactly. Different flavor.
Resemble Windows on other competing solutions and products. So I feel like this needs to be its own sort of longer term conversation. We all know this is an ultra niche productivity device, but that
and even Microsoft knows this. This is not intended. They're not trying by any means to say like this is the answer to everything. But I wanted to support that
on the regular Surface.
We don't have a Android logo at all anywhere. This is truly Surface. You are getting into a Surface experience in a smaller form factor. Although it looks like a Surface laptop.
Jump in because I know we spent a lot of time on Nick's comment there, so I hope we were able to answer that as best as we could. But you've got a whole host of other super chats, TK.
Wow!
So I'm gonna just sort of point you back to the chat.
Oh my God, yes. So welcome, Marilyn. Thank you very much. Paco, dude, good morning and thank you, or good afternoon. Thank you. Nice cup of tea. Appreciate the cup of coffee
too. So we're definitely going to be getting to some of those questions because we've both been seeing you speak up.
Oh, definitely. And of course, Gary the fireman, the first impressions for the prize for Home Gardens and TK, they appreciate it, guys. Man, it's hard. It's hard when we get on the chat, man. It's hard. We need to do a live stream that's private so I can hash out all the conversations and then get ready for the regular live stream because it doesn't work the other way. But thank you very much, Gary. Always appreciate it as usual. And so let's start looking into real quick some of them. First off, okay, so we got that one. I think that was Oh, this is a deal one. If you're stuck on the Apple ecosystem, do you think we can replace it with an okay. No, I don't think this is intended. It's not trying to. It's not trying to replace an iPhone. This is a different experience. It's really trying to bring in Windows, the experience of using a Windows, the productivity of Windows, the multitasking of what you can do on a PC onto a mobile device. And it just, again, it's Android, but it's not really the core message here.
And TK, I don't know how you feel about this. I actually think that would maybe be one of the hardest jumps. Right, we can kind of normalize some of the crossover between a more Android phone and an iPhone, and iPhones now have app drawers, and Androids are starting to get better messaging solutions. I mean, I feel like the jump from a Microsoft Pocket computer from an iPhone would maybe actually be one of the harder jumps. This is really unfamiliar.
It is.
Microsoft is making a bunch of engineering based tablet and multitasking decisions on how this product operates, and it does not feel or function like anything else on the market. I mean, we can point to V60s and Velvets with dual screens.
Mhm.
What Microsoft is doing to make this one big canvas that can then be carved up in different ways doesn't feel like anything else. I would actually say iPhone to Surface is one of the more difficult jumps that I could imagine right now.
It is a very it's a but the refreshing part of it is because there's such a hard jump. It's because
Totally.
it's new.
It is
It's
because it
something.
is different.
Yeah, it is. It's very different. It's not something. Oh, yep. And I just switched us. Let me just fix us back to
Hey,
where we're. I
doing a
like
little
this new feature in StreamYard. No, seriously, like just the ability of doing this to everybody can, and we kind of now look like we're looking at each other a little bit more than just looking
I
away
know,
from
'cause
each
I got
other.
the chat over here on the side, so I'm like looking off camera.
Well, see, that's the thing. For me, the chat is on the side, but whenever I look to the side, it looks like I'm looking at you. So problem solved.
Yay!
Um, but yes, no, I think it's the uniqueness of it is what's refreshing for me. It's the fact that when I open it, I don't feel like I'm using another Android phone. I don't feel like I'm using, and not that saying again that LG has it's a very different experience. LG has the second screen as an accessory, so it augments the experience. Here, this is the experience. There is no let me just I mean, you can turn off the second screen, but the reality you have to open it up to use it, and automatically you're greeted with this landscape that you're able to multitask in. And seriously, man, the feature of flicking one window from the right to the left is just, if I'm bored, that's all I'm doing. I'm like flicking windows. Just it's
Mhm.
fun, and then snapping them in the middle to make it full screen. Totally Windows experience, and it's
Now,
natural.
are
It's
you
it's it's
really
hard not
keeping
to use it.
I'm keeping it closed just because I think this makes for sort of an easier visual to reference and
Most of the time, it is closed. When I went out a couple of times, I did end up doing it where I kept it this way.
yeah,
So
so I mean,
I
like, as soon as I went out yesterday,
Mhm.
we got to meet up with a cousin for just a brief sort of social distance hangout, and as soon as it went in my pocket, it was like this the whole time. So
Mhm.
as I pulled it out of the pocket, it was just a regular sort of wide phone.
Exactly.
And then,
Yeah.
for one thing I needed to do, I opened it back up to dual screen it, but then I kept it open to put it back in my pocket. Again, this is something a little different. So I've been frustrated by, well, it doesn't have a screen on the outside. And but does it need one? Because it's not a fold.
No, it's
It's
not.
wrapped
It's a
all
dual.
the way
Yeah,
around.
it's a
So
dual display phone that folds, but it's not a foldable. I feel like there's the term that we use. It's a foldable phone. The phone itself does not have a folding screen. It's two independent screens. You're not going to see a crease between the two. There's actually a line because they're separate. But that's how it's intended to be. It's intended to actually run two screens. You can run two apps at the same time concurrently, not one in pause mode and one in active mode. So for me, it's a different experience that I think when people want to compare it to the Z Fold, and it's like, well, I understand what the Z Fold is trying to accomplish. It's trying to give you a display that basically bends on itself, so you are
yeah,
getting a bigger display. But at the end of the day, it's one display. It's not really running two separate apps. It's literally like you have to put them in windowed mode and kind of shrink them down. The form factor kind of goes off.
well, that's also what's kind of interesting here is Surface tries. I'm not saying it's always successful,
Hmm.
but Surface is trying to emulate a single tablet view as
Hmm.
best as it can. An LG, when you look at a V60 or a Velvet, it really does feel like two phones stapled side by side. You've got a left phone and a right phone, and
Hmm.
then there are a few apps that can span both screens, and I think it does that okay.
Yeah.
When you really play with this, and especially if you play with connecting it to an external display, this is one tablet view. So
It
when you
does, yeah.
click
It
it,
projects it as one display. There's no
yeah,
line. Yeah, you get the whole experience.
and it is a little different in that there is technically screen in
You know,
between on the gap. So there is like a 20 pixel, not 20, but you know what I mean. There is a line of pixels that you can't see on the phone that are generated when you plug it into an external display.
I keep
But
forgetting that I can actually show the external display.
but
I
when you start folding it and bending it around, it then is cutting that single uh, canvas into different chunks for how you're operating it. It's clumsy to describe because we've never really used anything quite like it before. But that's also, I feel like this needs the more conversation. It needs more explanation than just, well, I mean, it's too wide. I mean, even when you try and one-hand it, I mean, other phones that offer good two-handed experiences, we don't complain about that. But this is too wide. And like, that's not really, it's not really the thing. That's not really what this gadget is trying to accomplish.
And if I can only figure out why I'm not able to get it to run, I'll be able to explain it. Performance anxiety, man. That's all I could say. Okay, so
well, did you still have your developer options flipped? Because I know mine kept locking.
Yes, you're right. I forgot that. Okay, so we'll
Yeah, this isn't a Surface problem. This is an Android problem.
yeah, exactly. And it's something that I forgot that you're right. I did leave force desktop mode on my on the Surface.
It's so close. I mean, it's really good. This is the first time where like just that basic screen share has felt like I don't need to have a secondary desktop mode. I mean, it's
I'll give it a
almost
second to restart. Yeah, no,
and
it is actually.
You think about how you use Windows and you swipe a window to the edge of your screen and it perfectly split screens it for you. It feels like that. And you know, I do that all the time
snapping
on my
is exactly. No, snapping is one of my favorite features. Absolutely. So quick thing. So Root Knight's basically, you know, he's kind of seconding this, believes that, you know, this solves the issue of the subset of people that need more than one phone, but you know, more than a phone, but a laptop is already extremely expensive. If you think about it, I mean, true. You know, you're getting you're getting the phone functionality. You're getting the you know, already a larger display on a phone. It's not a small one, but then you can get it up to all the way to 8.3 inches, which is actually quite big if you consider the fact the real estate that you're getting. Sorry, I just realized I need to put my pin again. It's a large display, guys. This is very like a big, and it's a lot of real estate to play with. And if I can get this to run correctly, we'll be able to see it.
Well, and while he switches over real quick too, I mean, it only takes a couple little accessories in different directions. Ooh, yeah, get me off. No, move me.
Hold on, let me see if I can figure out
wrong. No, the other way.
Okay. Yeah. No, sorry. This typical.
No,
okay.
There we go.
So yeah, sorry, Root Knight. I'm gonna have to put the comment slightly away. So here, so you could definitely see the UI, and it's one screen. It's just literally one screen. If you know, I open up both Instagram and Twitter, you can see the seam between the two. There is actually two apps running between the two apps here. You know, you're looking at them again. So here, you can swipe one home, bring it in.
You don't see that on the phone because that's the strip of display, I guess, that is cut away between the two.
And here we have our buddy Juan Carlos.
Oh, hey!
Make sure you guys give him a like and subscribe, of course.
So this UI gets us really close to. I mean, again, it's a lot of custom manipulation of Android, so not everything lands perfect.
No.
Pretty close to. I feel a continuous experience if you were going to move from a Surface Pro to a Surface Duo. You know, if that was your ecosystem, if you were in the Microsoft ecosystem, this would feel familiar, which is kind of a heady concept considering it's running Android.
It is, and it really, like, I mean, the few issues that we have is because of the way Microsoft is trying to bring in the actual Android experience to elevate it to this type of an experience, which I really love. But once I plugged it in yesterday, I was like, wow, it mirrors both displays. It's not trying to mirror one. It knows it has dual displays and it combines them and it gives you the entire desktop. Like I said,
it treats it as one canvas. Which is weird. I mean, so like my favorite video editing app, Power Director, has no portrait view. So on every other phone, it defaults to landscape. You have to edit sideways to scrub through. But on this phone, the full display is technically landscape. So if you dock Power Director to one screen, it cuts it in half. So it's half of a landscape view which on this looks like a portrait version
of itself.
Power Director. Yeah, I mean, as soon as you fold it flat, then Android goes, oh, your aspect ratio has changed and all of your apps need to be resized. And then it flips Power Director back into landscape for half of this. So
yeah,
Android is really, I think, the limiting factor. It's not quite smart enough to really go with us on different shapes and sizes, aspect ratios, and resolution.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's because it's not intended.
But Microsoft is actually kind of solving that. It's not always the most graceful solution, but they're making Android do things that Android can't really do, which it's impressive.
And my only hope is that at some point or another, Android will adopt, because that's generally the benefit. At some point, it'll be invented.
Google will figure out how to invent it.
Exactly. What can you do on the Dewey that you can't do on the V60 or the G8X? So here's our buddy SBL LBS.
Immediately, as soon as you plug another display into an LG, that's the display.
Yeah, one of the displays is your display. Exactly.
Like
it doesn't copy both.
Showing you this, there is a better argument for a dual screen version of a phone to just be plugged into a laptop dock and have near PC style functionality.
And I would be surprised if Microsoft doesn't have a dock in the works already. I mean, this literally is begging a dock.
Well, and I really hope that it's just a continuation of the Surface product line. You know, like a Surface dock, and you kind of do this and you plug it in, and you know, you could go from a Surface Pro to a Surface Duo and use similar hardware. But also, this is a full-time dual screen solution. Exactly. So LG, we're talking a lot. I mean, the LG is going to be a bit more powerful. The Snapdragon 865 between 10 and 20%, depending on whatever app you're using. It's going to have a better camera, obviously, but you add a lot to make a V60, you know, a part-time dual screen option. For everyone who's saying, "Oh, it's so wide, and what do you put it in your pocket?" This is way bigger in your pocket.
It's a lot thicker. It's a lot thicker when you have it with the case. But again, you would get the V60 for a different experience. I think the V60. The case is an accessory. It's the title of it. It's not a required piece of hardware that you need to use. So essentially, you're getting the augmented experience by using a second display, throwing an app on the other side. So you have the flexibility of doing it there. Here, you're really getting. It's a desktop experience. There is a desktop in here.
Desktop experience.
It is. The entire UI that you're looking at here is really a desktop. There's a seam when you're holding it. And the best way I can explain it is like when I was playing I was playing PUBG and Call of Duty on this. The middle button, like the triggers, everything still maps correctly. It still recognizes that there is a spot for it. When I go to YouTube and go full screen, there's still a pause and play button right between the seams. The UI recognizes it. It's not present in front of us. So it always runs on a desktop. It always has the dual displays in there. And you really have to try it. You have to, if you have an opportunity and you're nearby a Best Buy or anywhere where there is a demo of it. I don't know if you think Microsoft Store, are they still a thing? Very few
storefronts, I think, are still in their leases, but they're basically just being used as like warehouse.
Yeah, it's a sad thing to say because we had one that was near us in I think it's the
like
Topanga
the perfect
Mall.
thing that you would have wanted to go poke at a Microsoft store. I used to love going to, like when the Surface Book refreshes were coming out, there was the little Microsoft store near us, and I loved going in there for that. It's so sad. This is the perfect product that kind of needs that in-person approach. But to kind of go along with what TK is doing, we're talking about different philosophies. And an LG V60, especially for some of the price compromises that LG has made, is a monster performer. It's a more traditional phone with an accessory that augments it, and that is not as refined. It's really not.
They're getting better. They're getting better version over version.
Well, and it's funny because like I kind of feel like everything that LG does well are some sticky spots for the Surface, but then everything that was a little clumsy on the LG solution has been beautifully ironed out on the Surface. And it comes down to those tiny little metaphors. Like it seems more accessible to me that you would swipe up for your multitasking view and slide an app back and forth across the screens because the phone considers that one big canvas. Think about how many tech reviewers pick up a Velvet and still tap the fiddly little menu on the Velvet
to turn on
to
the second
bring the
screen.
menu down so that they can turn on the screen and then move an app back and forth. Now, there are gestures to support all that.
Oh,
Again,
absolutely. Three finger gestures throws things from one side to the other. People
you
don't
double
realize
tap
it's
and
gestures.
then you flick, and
Mhm.
and it's less accessible. People who should know better in the tech reviewing community still haven't grokked what LG is trying to do to make that a more streamlined interaction. And it's all about conveyance, design, and the actual software execution. We gloss over software, but that stuff is hard. It's
Oh,
really difficult.
it
And
it
again,
it is the
you
no
can
no
see those
no.
areas where LG has done really well and
Mhm.
Microsoft needs to improve, but the core philosophy of the Surface, I think, is beautifully executed. And now we've just got to polish up and clean up some of the rough edges around along the way.
No, and I think if there's ever a meeting that needs to happen in 2020, I think we need to have LG and Microsoft sit down and have a lunch or something,
Yeah, don't
a
get me wrong.
working meeting.
Microsoft Samsung has been great for the tech community.
Yes.
We're overdue a minor Microsoft LG collaboration because
Just a
those
small meeting.
yeah.
Have a Vulcan mind melt right there. Just, sit there, share ideas,
Nosh a bagel and just be like, hey, what's up?
open up dual folding displays and let's just, let the conversation lead you where you need to be. But I think, yeah, no, I'm with you. There's a lot of things that I would appreciate having some of the inspirations. It's because LG has 4 generations of devices now that have used the dual display accessory. So you have the V50, the G8X, the V60, and now the Velvet. And honestly, the Velvet has the most refined, in my opinion, implementation. Like the functionalities have been updated, and you see that LG is making progress. That's why I'm excited. You see progress, and it's such a short amount of time if you think about like how long this has been going, right? The V50 hasn't barely a year ago, the G8X end of 2019, and then you had the V60, and now with the Velvet. So for me, Microsoft could definitely benefit from it, but for a first gen device that took this long to produce, they delivered on the thinness, they delivered on the UI elements that we want to see. I love the fact that, again, it's just every time I open it up, I smile. I don't. It's like that fresh piece of. It's the fresh tech that we haven't seen for quite some time. That initial where everybody was like, "Oh my God," with the Fold last year. I think this is the 2020 version of that, because I feel like this is the new form factor that we didn't know if we really wanted, but then when you try, you're like, this makes sense.
Okay, I
It
get
makes it. Yeah, and that's what I felt like on when I was at Best Buy. When I held it and I saw the just the way it worked, I was like, okay, I understand, and it makes perfect sense. Like I said, there's still some things to be worked. This is a Microsoft product to start with. There'll always be updates. There'll always be fixes. This is how Microsoft lives.
Well, and
And
also, I mean, I
operates.
do want to point out we're seeing like B-roll from some of these early embargo reviews that lean on the experience that those tech reviewers had before this first big software update.
I
And you
think
can
there,
say like,
yeah.
I don't want to call out individuals and be that kind of snarky drama stream, but like I was watching one where you're showing, oh, and look at how terrible this transition is. It got a little better with the update, and you're like, well, why did you show me the
The
old
B-roll
janky
from
when it's gotten better? You couldn't reshoot the rotation animation,
And
really?
just to be on the clearing side, though, is once you turn on the Surface, it installs the updates that fixes this. If you're thinking
Oh
about
yeah.
it, or you're trying about it, you're thinking about getting it. It
It's like one of the first times I've ever booted up a new phone and it's like, I'm searching for updates. Oh, I found one. Like, oh,
first time ever I've ever seen
you
it
won't even
say
let me
searching
use the
for update,
phone.
and it found one. I was like, okay, and then it stopped my whole
That's how
setup
it's supposed
process.
to work.
But what I'm saying is, though, it never happened prior to this. With the years we've used Android, right? Because what happens is most OEMs, they use their own system update. It's actually built in, so you actually have to go through the entire setup, go into the UI, then hit system update for you to get this feature.
Yeah.
Microsoft put it where it needed to be. There was no chance of me getting into the device and using it janky and think it's wrong. No, by the time I got into it, the latest update was already installed. It was done. I mean, it threw me off a little bit because I had to go back and reset up my account. But other than that, it was perfect. And I appreciate that, definitely. Let's start hitting some of those comments, because I feel like we're way behind on some of those comments in here. Let me see here. Actually, as I'm looking through here, so I have a question here from Twitter, which we can actually jump into real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Alan, Alan EFX. I keep saying his name wrong. He's asking if the camera on the front-facing camera is as bad as what we have on the Xperia 1 Mark II.
I would say Duo is outperforming the selfie camera on the Xperia.
For me, I felt like I need to do a little bit more testing on between the two. So my only concern I had with it is when I put the phone on the table to do my video from last night. I originally had my typical video. Whenever I do a video capture of this, I usually go to the backyard and I'm standing. Sometimes I'm walking, whatever. I want to show the stabilization. Now it did say stable. The camera on, the stabilization on the front-facing camera is non-existent for me. So I felt like the jitters from my hand were so bad. I reshot the shot. I had to redo the shot.
Yeah. So if you try to help it and hold still, this is definitely no one disagrees. The camera, even if we can't replace the hardware on first gen, the software still needs some work. But if you
definitely
try to hold still, if you really try to hold still while you're shooting something else, the stabilization is actually pretty good. It's when you're trying to hold still and shoot a video of yourself as a selfie camera that for some reason it gets twitchy. It kind of overreacts to trying to compensate, which makes the video worse in a way.
It was such a bad experience. I felt like it wasn't a true representation of it. So I left it on the table and I did it front facing.
So I was thinking about, like, because I did for my Pixel, I did a walk and talk vlog using the rear camera for my Pixel 4a. And I was thinking like, oh, maybe I should try and do something like that. But there's so much smoke and the sky. I mean, like California is in the apocalypse right now. So instead I tried to make mine more of like a Zoom call, just what it would look like set up in my office as I'm trying to talk to someone in a video call, and inadvertently managed to produce a pretty decent looking video because I wasn't moving it, because it was just on my desk.
Once it's stabilized or actually stationary, it works a lot better. So that's why I did that one. But I like the fact that we're using one camera. So like I said, I mean, if Gen 2 or whatever update they're able to push in, they give us a little bit better camera process. I think the Xperia 1 Mark II was very clearly established as a device that was basically the alpha team sat down with the Sony mobile device department and said, look, let's focus on the cameras we have in the back because that's what we do best, and let's give them the best experience we can. And I think that's what we got there. So I wouldn't necessarily compare them in that sense.
You can, I mean, we made this joke before too when we were talking about the Xperia 1 Mark II, but you can kind of see that engineer boardroom meeting where it's like, well, a Sony a7 III doesn't have a selfie camera. Why does the Xperia have a good selfie camera? Take video calls, and then when you want to take good photos, use the good cameras.
Exactly. And the other guys are like, but selfies.
I guess that's what we're doing.
no selfies. No, bad selfies. No selfies this year. Another question we have here from Pascal is he's asking do we have a tent mode? Is there a tent mode available?
Not really.
No. Sadly, the moment you overextend. So an example would be here. So let's say we open up the device. It looks, let's go ahead and unlock it because that would be best. So the moment I go more than flat, right? So I go one more down. And if I can actually, no, now it's making me look like a lot. No, here it is. A little bit late. We'll do it a little more. Come on. It did it just a second ago. So actually you can see right there. So the device actually switches. So now it has two displays. If I want to switch to the other side, I have to double tap the screen and it switches the display. It does not have a tent mode. It thinks all I'm doing is actually I'm closing the phone, that I'm using it in a backwards fashion. So if I double tap on the back, I'm able to switch here. And if I switch it down this way, double tap again, I can switch it.
See, this is interesting because it's like similar solutions, but with different outcomes. So on an LG, you get really used to double tapping the screen to turn it on and off.
Exactly. That's all you do. You don't. There's no switching.
There's no automatic. So there's kind of a thing. Like someone opens the phone and initially they're going to look at that janky little menu, that fiddly little menu on the LG, and then you learn, oh, that's not how to do it. That's lame. Microsoft is trying to take that out of your thought process. Like they're trying to make you consider handling the device less. The device is trying to anticipate what you might do with it. But whenever you try to autopilot something like that, you will run into those usage scenarios where someone has a specific, like, I want to do tent mode, have dual screen mirroring, something like that. And so that expectation doesn't line up with what the engineers thought would be the most accessible. So again, it's like double tap for this means flipping screens back and forth, where double tap on an LG means turning screens off and on. It's so funny. Like, there is no familiarity. Like, this is the Wild West. No one has done this right yet. In like this is what we all agree a dual screen device should function like.
And the good thing, though, I feel like, is we're moving in the right direction. That's the beautiful thing about it. We're not steering away. We're not trying to reinvent it. We're trying to basically fine tune what we have. And I feel like LG is definitely doing a lot of good work on it. One thing to mention, though, is on an LG, you cannot use the external display as a primary display. You can only use the internal one. So the moment you overfold it to the other side, the back display, for the most part, it's just the front display that becomes the main one. It actually turns it off. So there's no. That's one thing to keep in mind. Where on the Surface, you literally switch, and it uses the accelerometer to recognize which one is up and down, and it gives you the option to basically switch into it, which I think the UI is definitely getting better there.
And that's something that I wholly expect will be tweaked and refined a little with a software update. Like,
absolutely.
If anyone can pull off, it's always dangerous to buy on the promise of what a gadget might get, but I don't see any reason why Microsoft wouldn't be cleaning up a few of those little elements in transition.
No, absolutely.
To say that it's
the support that
we want isn't perfectly perfect and it's a fail is a horribly reductive tech commentary, because
every device that gets released is that way. Almost none of the okay. Launch events
think about how the iPhone 11 launched with promises on camera features that didn't come for like 6 months.
So that's the thing. Launch events are. So we need to understand that launch events are basically the intentions of what the development team is trying to put together and what they're trying to give us. As Juan Carlos just mentioned, iPhone or Apple's main thing is they're going to promise you a whole bunch of stuff at launch day. I'm not going to say Samsung and other carriers or other OEMs don't do the same, but what will happen essentially is that they're still intending to give you those features. It's just maybe the roadmap is not necessarily on day one, meaning you open up the phone and suddenly you're getting that feature that Apple just announced 10 minutes ago. So just keep that in mind. But I feel like Microsoft is also on the same path, and they should be able to get there, because it is software. It's not a hardware limitation. It's once it's a hardware issue, that's where that hard stop kind of happens there. But we don't. The camera on the front for me is, for the most part, I think it's good enough for video calls. It's good enough for casual images if I need to take a picture here and there. But like I said, I wouldn't be depending on it as my main camera.
I'm moving a few images to my PC right now. I'll try and screen share this in just a minute. But it is kind of funky. I mean, it does the thing that I really hate on other experimental phones, like the Nubia, the dual screen Nubia. It drives me nuts that it's the exact same camera sensor, and then I flip it into selfie mode and I lose features. Because selfies are supposed to be blithering idiot modes.
But
and
it's the same. I don't understand
sensor. Give me the manual video. Give me the full raw capture. I would like the best image of myself that I can capture to edit from. Thank you very much. And Surface seems to do something similar, where selfie performance is different than main camera performance, and it's the same sensor. It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no. It's almost like what you want is what Asus is doing with the Zenfone 7 Pro. This Zenfone 7 still, if I'm not mistaken, at least on the Zenfone 6, it still did that same thing, where it treated the front-facing camera as a different sensor, even though it's the same sensor from the back. It actually literally mechanically rotates. But I don't understand it. Unless it's two separate teams that work this thing, where there's the front-facing camera experience team and the back-facing camera experience team, which they need to talk. But the other thing I don't want to, because I realize we're already about an hour, almost not 45 minutes in. Juan Carlos has a hard stop at 11, and I'm trying to get as many questions knocked out between the two of us.
All right, speed round.
Is there a one-handed mode? No. I could not find a one-handed mode experience in there unless you were able to uncover that setting.
Oh, you mean like a screen shrink, kind of like what Samsung used to? No, exactly. I don't think there is one. The one-handed mode is you fold the phone in half.
Two-handed mode, one-handed mode, one-handed mode, two-handed mode. closed the mode. So that's how we're doing it. That was from Pascal, and then Dracos is asking, is it buggy in most apps or only the camera in some unoptimized ones? Actually, I wouldn't say that it's super buggy. I think so because I got a chance to play with the first version, the pre-software build and the current build. I got to see the difference between the two. Opening, closing apps for the most part works fine. There's no bugginess in the apps themselves. It's more about every once in a while. I think initially where I wasn't able, like the dual apps on the pre-production software wasn't working, so that wasn't activated. Now works very nicely. You can create your own dual. You can also use the existing configuration that they have built in. Switching apps works fine. Every once in a while, there'll be a little bit of a hiccup in the UI, but then you just try it again and it works.
And also, I think it's very important to detail how much is going on, that the phone is trying to anticipate your gestures. Opening is a gesture, rotating is a gesture, folding it in half is a gesture. And all of these change the working parameters of how an app talks to the operating system.
Yep.
And so you get used
on
to
top
on a
of Android
phone,
10.0 gestures, by the way.
On top of Android 10
because
gestures.
it starts off with gestures. It doesn't start off with buttons.
You get used to how Android handles multitasking. Well, if you swipe in one direction, that's a back button. If you swipe in another direction, that moves you to another screen. If you swipe up and hold and move to the middle, that moves you to a larger canvas. If you turn it sideways, it moves where those are. It's supposed to be more ergonomic, but it's unfamiliar. And so if you're doing two apps that are coded to different aspect ratios, changing the orientation, and then trying to engage in a quick multitask, everything is on a delay. This phone doesn't immediately leap to a change in orientation because it's large. So it doesn't want to say, like you kind of casually pick it up and, like when you're laying in bed and you're holding your phone and you tilt it just enough that it flips your app sideways. You're like, oh, now I can't read what I was reading.
Yep.
The Surface actually slows all of that down because this is a lot. It's a tablet. So I feel like some of this perceived jank isn't a bug. It's a feature that when you're walking around and moving this, when you're holding it a little flatter and an orientation change happens, you don't want the phone instantly responding to every single angle change that
you'll have it basically. Yeah, it's like going sideways all over, trying to figure out what's your current form factor.
I have had a couple where just because both TK and I are really trying to like ramp, like how hard can we push this in a short period of time. There are a couple games that for whatever reason always flip upside down. It doesn't matter what orientation I hold the phone in single screen view. It's just always wrong. Third-party camera apps get real twitchy. Whatever camera
third-party launchers don't even work. It only works on one screen.
Launchers. Yeah. And again, it's like we can't quite push there, which again, it took LG 4 generations of dual screen before they could kind of sort of crowbar on the launcher functionality. And I have had a couple moments where I am trying to run multiple apps and switch back and forth, and the phone just sort of stops for a second. So I mean, it's not to say that there's it's a perfect device and all these other people are complaining. I feel that they're blowing up some of these concerns that we have with all phones. Like you have to find something to criticize the phone because it couldn't possibly be worth $1,400. I feel like that's getting unequal airtime to the education of how this thing is significantly functionally different than a traditional smartphone experience. And I feel like with context, it's easier to understand like, oh, why these things function in different ways. Free of context, you'd be like, oh, well, that's broken and it's a fail. I don't see any fails, but I do see areas where I have to expect that we're going to see some refinement and some improvement, just like we see on every other phone. I mean, like literally that is the truth of owning a pocket computer in the year 2020 is no device is ever finished.
No.
And this is a much more ambitious.
And I hope that Microsoft follows through with the updates process. Meaning,
do you want to? I have screen share up if you want to show. This is real quick. I just want to show two video clips so you can see.
Here's JC, and as you're doing that, quick thing. Actually, I've started noticing because a few people were saying there was some comments issues. Quick heads up: tomorrow at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, as Juan's setting it up, Juan Carlos and I are going to be jumping on Across the Podcast. It's going to be with Matt and Sam. As you guys know, I always talk about them. Let me see if I can bring it up. I saw the comment.
Can you see? I mean, I said screen share, and
I
see a little a window down at the bottom.
Oh,
you have to bring that into.
I do need to bring that in. Yeah,
okay.
And that is a weird way of doing it. Hold on. Actually, you know what?
Where did it go? Ah, there we go. Is that showing? TK, did I lose you?
Oh, no, I'm back. Hey. Okay, now we're working.
All right. Okay, so let me full screen this instead of showing you everything on my desktop. So, I mean, like when you're holding still, like this, there's a little movement, but this is using it as a rear camera. Like this looks fine. Right? So then I want to do a walk and talk. And this is what it looks like when you try and use it as a selfie camera. With every footstep, it overcorrects on trying to move the frame back and forth.
It was doing that for me while I was standing. Like when I looked at it after,
as a selfie camera, it overcorrects when you just use it as a main phone camera. Look at how smooth that is.
The stabilization kicks in. That's what I'm saying.
It's great.
The setting is in there for stabilization, but it only kicks in for the rear camera, not the front. So
I don't understand why that would ever be handled diffdifferently. It makes no sense.
Figure out how to. Hey, we're back. StreamYard, man.
I mean, better features, but not the easiest to use. Okay, sorry. Back to rapid fire, and
no problem.
We'll get more of these questions answered.
Greg wanted to throw in there since you mentioned the Pixel Team Greg. Pixel. Appreciate
loving the Team Pixel folks. They're so much fun to play with.
Always. And was it just me, or did the screen wake up unlock time and fingerprint unlock take a minute to unlock?
Not bad.
It's not as bad, but I think what's happening is that there's a peak mode. I don't know if you guys have noticed that on the Surface Duo, that if you just turn it on, sorry, got to do it the right angle. So there's a peak mode on the screen. Here we are. So the Surface automatically has this screen on. So it turns that on first, then it opens up and it goes into the home screen, and then you unlock it with the fingerprint. I think it's something that I think it's more of just an animation, but it needs a little bit of improvement for me. But for me, by the time I open it up, because the way it works, you're holding it, you put your finger on it, and as you're opening it, by the time you have it open all the way, you're already unlocked because your finger lays on where the fingerprint.
It's almost like there needs to be like an if then else statement. If phone angle approaches this angle in a certain period of time, just turn on the whole screen and don't use the peek feature.
Skip the peek. Or if fingerprint is activated, disabled peek, because by default I'm already unlocking the phone. So, but I think that's probably what you're noticing on the actual slight delay that's going on right there. The camera shutter also was slow. It does take a second, but first, this is literally the first update to make it, I would say, I'm not going to say functional, but I think it's more of the first smoothing or the first bug fix update that came through. So I'm assuming, again, this will be, it's totally fixable. There's not much, there's literally one sensor. It's not like it's trying to handle many different options there. How's gaming on the device? You mentioned PUBG. How was the experience? Notification. There's a couple of things. So here's swipe down notification. There's one notification panel from, that's the Recents app. Oh no, those are your notifications. Yeah.
That was the notification. I missed the swipe, so I accidentally did the search.
The search. Yeah. So speaking of which, so notification panel only works on one screen at a time, and the app drawer also only works on one screen at a time. You cannot open the app drawer on both. I actually find myself, and I don't know if I can do this correctly here. So here, and we're going to do backwards. And of course, nope, can't do it backwards. Haven't mastered that ability. But no, if you guys want to check that out in the video.
So gaming has been kind of hit and miss. Like I mentioned before, there are some games that seem to orientation lock, and if a game does that, it always shows up upside down. Call
of Duty gave me I tested 3 games. I did PUBG, Call of Duty, and I did Asphalt 9. So general, nothing heavy, just for the first 24. PUBG worked quite well.
Mhm.
the when you're playing it on one display. So I'll caveat this: there's gaming on one display, there's gaming on the other display, and then there's gaming on both displays. And when I
Mhm.
say that is, the Duo has one speaker. There's only one earpiece. It's present on the second display. It's not on the first display. So if you're looking at it, if you're looking at the phone, or if you're looking at the Surface, your actual speaker is on the display opposite the camera. So that's where the
Mhm.
placement is. If I'm playing the game on basically on the main display with the camera, I find that sound is not as loud if I'm using
Oh,
it with the
it's
speakers.
real easy to block. And
Yeah,
I mean,
because
you
the
muffle it
placement,
fast.
it's very, very off. So what I
Yeah.
found myself doing, which surprisingly for me, flipping back and forth from the front display to the back display when I was playing PUBG was really smooth. Like very,
Mhm.
very smooth. Literally, I flip it over, double tap, the game is still running. I don't have to bring it up from memory, and it worked great. Touch responsiveness on the display is stellar. There is no lag.
Mhm.
I mean, this is
It's
this
sharp.
is a very sharp gaming response time, all of that you'll love. When so like I said, if you're going to play on it with one display, always play it on the second display, the one opposite from the camera. That way the speakers facing you, you'll have much better audio and the experience is a little bit better. Now, you can play the game and you can play PUBG. And if you guys want to see those clips, they're in the video that I posted late last night.
I
You can
don't play PUBG. I mean,
so
for Battle Royale, it's Battlelands. It's about as aggressive as I get. So,
we need to get Juan Carlos on Call of Duty, and Sam and Matt and myself, we need to get into a team
well,
and create a squad.
considering who my wife works for, it has been kind of like, oh, you should be
We got to
playing other
do this,
games.
man. We should be. But so the only issue that I found with first person shooters, regardless of which one it is, because both of them gave me the same issue, is so the elements of the UI, even as we discussed it before, are still present between the two displays. So the crosshairs, which by default are always the center of your display,
Mhm.
disappear in the middle. So if I'm sitting there and I'm trying to basically take out an opponent or something like that, I can't see the face. I cannot see where I'm
Yeah.
actually shooting specifically. I mean, the general vicinity of where I'm shooting, but headshots are not going to happen. So gaming, I think for me, overall good experience, single display, back second display. Now, surprisingly, Asphalt 9 worked quite very, very nicely. Actually, that was a much easier game to play because there's nothing in the center. And I was able to
Yeah.
play it for a much longer time and very nice on full display. So depending on what you're playing is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Uh,
I play more games like Anima or Dead Cells or
mhm.
games like that, and they kind of work when you go both screens.
Yeah.
But that center strip is often where we kind of point the camera for your character, especially in an isometric view. So
Mhm.
I know what I'm doing, and it's not so precious that I see what enemy I'm trying to kill in a Diablo clone like that. But you become invisible in the game in a very weird way when you push it out
You
that
have
way.
to get,
So
yeah.
there's definitely some refinement that needs to happen for gaming. I think their core idea is you prop up one screen and you pair a controller and you're going to do xCloud, and
I
that's going to
wanted them to
be
do
the big
something like
gaming.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I wanted them to have that integration very, very nicely integrated in here. And I feel like that's probably the best experience. It's not necessarily a full display, but if you do want to use it, it works as long as the game that you're playing is more of an open world and not very centered into the center, like, like a first person shooter would be. So that
And
would,
then, I mean, obviously, like puzzle games, card games, time wasters, stuff like that. Those are all great. In fact, there is a like the same version on desktop now, Microsoft Solitaire. Like, there's never going to be a Microsoft product that doesn't have some form of solitaire on it, and it looks great when it's spanned out because it's cards, right?
it's intent.
Stuff
Yeah.
like that. Stuff like that is so easy. It's trying to anticipate the UI of every other more aggressive or more AAA style game, and Microsoft has some ways to go on stuff that they didn't make.
Oh man, thanks, Paco. Appreciate it, bud. Uh, not that I don't think Matt is trying to mess with you, but Juan is a lot less salty than he was with us on the stream yesterday.
I can do my bit. Do you want me to do my bit? Hold on.
Oh, good.
I love this bit. This bit makes me laugh.
I'm waiting to ask you the question before you jump off the stream, but I'll ask you that question right before.
No, hold on. It's because like a tech review, we're really concerned about this one-handed experience. I mean, like this is completely unprecedented to have a phone this wide. I mean, we've never seen anything like this before in sort of a wide form factor. Who could use something one-handed? Consumers really need to know that this is it's going to be a concern. I'm very concerned. Are you concerned? I'm concerned because wide, and it's just so wide, you can't use it.
My pocket is very concerned, actually, at this point. The way this month is going.
I mean, like, I had to make a point out. Like, you don't know how big a V60 is with that dual screen case until you really use it, and
exactly.
That's fine. You should be aware of that.
The Velvet is a little bit better, but it's still
Velvet's a little bit better. But I'm so tired of that being some kind of deal breaker, right? We don't talk about the Note size because the Note is not a one-handed phone.
No,
it's not. There is no one-hand experience on a Note.
Hasn't been one since day one.
If you want good one hand, I mean, you go with a Pixel 4a or an iPhone SE. That is a one thumb experience for the majority.
Pixel 4a, perfect size. Honestly, the improvements over the 3a with the display, just phenomenal. I seriously think it's a 2020 phone of the year. There's no question about the form factor.
Say, a Galaxy S20 Ultra got pretty big, but what is it that we're concerned about? Is the phone giving you a two-handed experience? So I can pick up this BlackBerry. This is hardware that rewards you for holding the phone with both hands.
Exactly.
This old LG that came with a stylus. It's over there on my table and I can't reach it. A stylus and a big screen rewards you for using two hands. A Surface will open for a two-hand experience, or you use it with a stylus, it rewards you for occupying both of your hands.
I like what you're saying. Keep going.
A Note does that. I can't say a Galaxy S20 does that. So if we're concerned about size and the one-handed experience, shouldn't we be more concerned about the one-handed experience on something like a Galaxy S20 Ultra than we are on a pocket computer Surface? Is all I'm trying to say. This complaining about the width of this, free of the context of all of the other phones that we've done similar form factor experiments and bigger screens and stuff, is a dog whistle. It is only designed to make you feel that this is a lesser than device, but it doesn't really encapsulate how you would use it in the real world.
And why it's there. The purpose of what it's
why of it.
It dismisses all of that. It discounts the entire conversation. I'm totally with you on that one, of course. Let's see here.
I mean, while you do that, I'm just gonna hold this up because I mean, you can only see this little fraction of screen peek out from like a Lumia 1520, and the one-handed experience. I'm so concerned.
The Lumia, I remember the Lumia was always a little bit but you wanted the bigger display when you were using that sensor. You want to be able to see what you're trying to do. So Andrew, our old buddy, Mr. Fat Produce,
he's going to be joining us on the stream tomorrow, I think.
Oh, we're gonna have 5 people?
Yeah, it's gonna be a big old group thing with Sam and Matt and Andrew and you.
I'm gonna bring some snacks then, man. It's just gonna be a fun one. Make sure you check it out. Across the podcast, as usual, I always talk about Sam and Matt, but this time it's going to be Sam, Matt, Andrew, Juan, and TK. It's going to be a group, and if we can convince everybody to jump on Call of Duty, we can make it into no, I'm just kidding. That different stream. We're gonna surface it up. We're gonna chit chat. But that's why you do it as a team, though. You have the support of your team.
Matt made a joke about me being bait, so I'm fine with that.
He made the same joke about Sam, man. He kept saying Sam goes in there,
and you guys do all the strategery, and we'll be good. But yeah, so for Andrew here, and this is a very important usage question because I hate, with the passion, the fiery burning passion of 1,000 suns, I hate holding any phone to handle a phone call. I do not like immobilizing one arm and not being able to do other things while
we're beyond that point in life, especially with
for me,
the number of headsets we have.
I'm always aggressively going to find a pair of headphones, a pair of earbuds, Bluetooth, cables, anything I can do that I
Not
can
that I
keep
have
the
enough.
phone.
I have
Yeah, right.
enough.
With the Surface, I'm saying that's doubly important.
Mhm.
Sam actually brought this up. Like, he was taking a really long phone call on this, and his hands are a little larger than mine. He's like, but at the end, it's not that this is a light phone. It's not the heaviest phone, but it's
Mhm.
a sizable weight. And he hasn't built the muscles up in his thumb. So his thumb was starting to go numb by the end of a really long phone call.
It has sharper edges. That's the other reason. It's because of the way it's set. Like, you're
Oh
right.
yeah, that
It's not.
flat.
It's
Yeah.
not. Yeah, you have to get used to it. My thing though is, so the reviewers received headphones with it because I feel like Microsoft was kind of anticipating that. So short answer, had Bluetooth. I feel like, and I said that in my video, that I think it's this device is literally meant to be used wirelessly as a Bluetooth connected device for audio. I don't think they're trying to give, you could already
Yeah.
see no headphone jack, no dongle. They're not trying to get you to use a dongle with it. They want,
Avoid the Surface dongle.
if you
I
haven't
bought
seen
this,
the video,
so
yeah.
you don't have to.
If you haven't seen the video, make sure to check out Juan Carlos's channel.
I have a review on the Surface. I was salty that Microsoft didn't want to work with me as a reviewer, so they sent the dongle early, and I plugged it in, and it's real bad. I mean, the $12 you'll spend on that dongle could be put to anything else. I've been using it recently with my OnePlus bullets, the USB-C bullets.
Mhm.
So if you want a USB-C solution, this is inexpensive. This is pretty good.
$20 off of OnePlus's site. Perfect.
I still have my old Pixel 2 dongle, which is better than my Pixel 3 dongle, and that's been working really well. And then I've just been a huge fan of this is the FiiO BTR5. So this is their
the external
Bluetooth
audio.
portable
Yeah.
amp.
Mhm.
Oh, this is real pretty. Supports LDAC, aptX, and can go over a USB-C connection. It's got an amp that does a reasonable job of driving those 770s that you're wearing.
Exactly.
Not bad at all. So you'll want to find some other audio solution. It just depends on how much ear candy you want to treat your ears with. But some inexpensive buds and another dongle, some good true wireless. Like, I got my One Mores in arm's reach. Something like that is really going to help fulfill the Surface experience. I don't love holding any phone. You're not going to like holding the Surface up to your ear for long phone calls.
And there's no reason to immobilize your functionality. Realistically, Bluetooth could just, like I said, we have so many options now.
And I mean, how many phone calls have you been on where it's like, I really want to be doing something while I'm talking on the phone? Like,
It's
to me,
mostly
I keep
conference
looking at
calls. That's
this.
the only reason I get
Conference
on phone
calls.
calls.
Like,
Yeah.
If this becomes like the executive assistant phone, right? I'm a high-powered attorney, and I've got like a secretary or an assistant who's constantly in a Surface Duo doing all of the like scheduling and work and contracts and documents and stuff. Like, this becomes such a good solution for something like that, where that person would be on a wireless headset all day long.
Automatically.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because you want to be able to do things. And for me, the longest calls, or most of the calls I'm on actually nowadays, are literally conference calls. It's not calls to talk to people. It's always
Zoom.
conference calls. Yeah, Zoom meetings, exactly. All day, Zoom all the time. So
right,
with that,
moving right along, let's get some more out of here before I gotta go.
Yeah. So the difference seems to be that Microsoft wasn't really as clear about their vision. Watching Panos get emotional about the hardware pulled focus from the presentation about the Surface. I think
it's all together. I mean, I don't feel you can carve one from the other, and both need to evolve over successive generations. And you can't do some of the software stuff that we're describing if you don't have the right hardware platform. And the hardware platform doesn't matter if you've got the right software. So Panos always plays that gag. You know, I'm just weepily emotive about how passionate I am for these products, and we get it. That's his thing. But the reality of what it was that the Surface team was trying to accomplish, I feel that's accurate. It's like, you need this kind of hardware, radically thin, amazing hinges, like that tactile experience needs to pull you into a software experience that can hopefully be refined.
Oh man, Chris Patton just posted something on Twitter. I wish I was able. I need to figure out how to get it. Somebody's playing a DS, a Nintendo DS emulator on the Surface Duo. Okay, I gotta install that right before
Yeah.
I gotta send it out. I gotta try this. Oh my god. Okay,
But
this is
again,
too.
this is the kind of stuff that we're going to start expanding on. If I'm being critical, and why I said, like, if there's any meeting that needs to happen, it's Microsoft and LG. It's things like, I want an Xbox controller on one screen and a game on the other, because
Mhm.
that works so well on LG phones. Like,
L,
LG
L,
phones are now my gaming phones, even though they don't have the screen refresh.
mhm.
It's because I want that better control. The other thing that I really hope we see, for those of us that are getting into the Surface experience, I really want a big notepad on one screen and handwriting transcription on another screen.
Yes,
So I have one whole half of the phone that I can write, and then it's making that handwriting to text
text
conversion on
conversion
the
on
other
the
for
left side.
notes.
Exactly.
And I want that kind of more baked into the core. I mean, you can do that with apps, but I want that baked into the core of, like, you should be able to replace the keyboard with a big transcription area. And it's those little things that I feel like that's going to help push the Surface into realizing all of these big claims from Microsoft.
Or even utilizing some speech to text functionalities the way we have it in Microsoft
Oh, for sure.
Office right now.
You
The
know,
improvements that we have.
but again, when you start giving a stylus support,
Yeah.
like, this is another area, like, LG is a little ahead and Samsung is way ahead when it
Well,
comes to using a pen for that kind of functionality.
but I feel like they're realizing that there is a market and there's a demand. That's the
Oh,
beauty of
for
it.
sure.
We're seeing more and more
For sure.
support. Dave Burns, real quick, with a nice little quick joke. It's definitely one-handed mode, one-handed device for Shaq. Yes, Shaq will definitely be using that as a one-handed device. Okay, so we have a few more. We have about 15 minutes. So before I jump in more answers on questions, I do want to talk about a little thing that's coming up between Juan Carlos and myself in the near future. Um, at the beginning of the stream, I did mention to you guys that yes, this is not my device. This was actually a very nice friend of mine that allows me to play with his toys, and I'm going to basically be sending it out. So I unfortunately will not be able to provide a lot more coverage on the Surface beyond today, but something that we obviously you guys enjoyed a lot, and we did this we did it a couple of times. So first we had our I think was it the P20 Pro versus the I think was it the LG.
And then we did the budget phone challenge,
The
which was
budget phone,
was a
oh man,
catastrophe of hilarious proportions.
my Elgato, yeah, the Elgato, or no, not Elgato,
No, is the
the
X
Gotti,
Gotti.
X Gotti. Yeah, thank you. Believe it or not, the
Never
company
buy an
reached out
X
to me.
Gotti. Never.
X Gotti reached out to
Don't.
me a few months later after that, asking me to review one of their phones. I'm like, nope, it's okay. No, it's okay. It's really.
Does it have a removable glass back?
It had that special feature. If you guys haven't seen that video, look for it. It's hilarious. Juan Carlos and I sitting at the table.
Fell out of my body. You're taking the sticker off in the back of the phone.
Oh my god, I'm reliving the moment. And the whole back cover comes off. And the look on Juan Carlos's face, like, did you just break the phone? Did you just seriously do this, TK?
I guess showdown over. I guess I lost in getting
that's exactly it was. It was a non-starter from the beginning. On top of
the unboxing.
It was, yes. So we were trying to bring it back. We want to do another challenge. Being that my time with the Surface is limited, and obviously Juan Carlos is starting, I'm still finishing up some of my stuff on the Note 20 Ultra that I have. The Note 20, unfortunately, I don't have anymore. So the goal essentially is we're going to do another collaboration where we're going to trade devices, and we're going to try to basically, as the question at the beginning of the show was asking, is can I work with this as my daily driver, as my phone? And we're going to try to do some type of collaboration back and forth as usual. And of course, hopefully with your support, we'll be able to basically put it up. It's hopefully by the end of the month. So we'll keep you guys posted.
Started. Yeah.
Make sure you're following us, as you know, Twitter, Instagram, and so on. You'll see the challenge come up. It's going to come up. And maybe.
So I think, and just in general, one of the things that we both kind of wanted to focus on was productivity. I think for both TK and I, we're getting real tired of only talking about phone categories in really poorly described price tags. And if you have a productivity phone, you call it a productivity phone because it has special hardware and special features that enable certain kinds of work.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a good argument to be made for a communicator, very streamlined interactions. You don't need the biggest battery. You're not sitting there and watching a whole bunch of content or playing games. You can have a content creation phone that focuses on making multimedia content. You can have Gaming phones are becoming a more popular segment, features that focus on improving the gaming experience. And so we both have LGs. So we both have phones that can do part-time dual screen and have stylus support. And we're going to trade a Note and the Surface and kind of round robin phones with styluses, phones for work, phones that get certain things done. And that's going to be, I think, our big showdown is like, who is this the right fit for? But then also, do they really live up to these manufacturers' claims? Because, the cheapest options are now hitting $700-800 with all the bells and whistles and accessories. So that's a pretty steep buy-in. But if that $700,000, $1,400 phone means you don't always have to have a laptop around, that could be a bigger benefit for some folks out there.
No, absolutely. And I think somewhere at the beginning, I want to say, of course, hello to Steve DeRoche. He always stops by. I wanted to catch him.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, mon ami. And
beat me to saying bonjour.
The moment you said it, I thought you read the comment right there.
I'm all right.
And Matt Tyler's just trying to mishmash the names of basically the Microsoft Note Duo Ultra. Don't joke it, man. Don't mess with it. Maybe it'll happen.
We got to get the Microsoft V Note Duo Ultra.
Duo Ultra.
I really want to say, like, there is something so fascinating happening, but it's getting lost in price tag.
Yeah,
there's no reason to buy $1,000 phone, bro. Yeah, there is. If $1,000 phone means I don't need to walk around with $1,500 worth of camera gear and a $2,000 laptop, then give me the $1,000 phone. But we can't properly talk about that without round robining some of these different solutions. And then it's more about examining these claims. Like if we're just saying like spec sheet and the Geekbench score, and that's the only thing that you need to do to review a phone, that's not even the beginning of a review conversation. And we've got people acting like that's the conclusion of their review process. Like, we've got to dig a lot deeper. I mean, these showdowns end up taking us a couple weeks to finish because we've got a lot of ground to cover.
There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff to carry.
Out, like, what is the challenge and why is TK wrong?
What? I wasn't wrong last time. You're the one who gave me the removable back phone, man. It wasn't my fault. It's a sticker. It's not supposed to come off. It's
the Rebel that you got me, which is basically just a reskin of like an Idol 3, I think, is an Alcatel from T-Mobile, is still a functional device. Like, you can still use it today. And what I gave you fell apart.
You changed the rules of the game in the ordering of that phone. You wanted to hit that price point so much.
It was just price point. It could be anything. We said it could be new, it could be used. You were smart in that showdown. You were very smart to go use.
I wanted to figure out a way to get it to go, and as you can imagine, Aditya and Anil, sorry. See, this is the problem. I got to do right there. We'll do it. We'll have to practice.
Imagine the power of a cool flat cap and an awesome beard at the same time. It's too much for YouTube.
I think the stream would break. It would break at like flat out right there. I do have to ask a question. I've been really, really worried about this thing, Juan.
Yeah, for sure.
How does it feel in the hand?
Oh, what's really fascinating is
I've been wanting an hour and a half to ask you this exact question.
So Microsoft made a really smart decision in not making this out of broken, jagged shards of glass.
You don't say.
Right?
Oh, do you say?
Yeah. I mean, I was really worried that they were gonna take their design team and say like, hey, what if we use twisted, rusted rebar? And you're like, you know what?
Interesting material choice, but yeah.
I mean, like, there was a real concern. So, you pick it up and you're like, wow, this feels like it was designed by primates with opposable thumbs to be used by primates with opposable thumbs. So, like the hand feel, it feels really nice in the hand. I mean, that's a very important criteria, I feel, to cover.
I'm sold. I am totally sold. That was the only reason I bought it. I felt it in the hand. It had that nice weight.
It up. And you can hold it in a hand. I mean, I think that's some really smart design choices. If you think
some coaster action looks really nice.
For sure. What I will say though, I mean, sorry, all snarkiness aside, Microsoft years ago discontinued an accessory that they absolutely need to bring back. This is my Microsoft folding keyboard, the little Bluetooth folding keyboard. I have been
Oh,
traveling
nice.
with this thing for years, starting with the LG V20. This has
Mhm.
been one of my main writing solutions when I'm on the go. Because I mean, just look, it's super cute.
It
It
is.
is the exact right form factor to cart around with the
Look
Surface
look
Duo.
at that setup, man. Just right there.
So again, when I'm saying I can get on an airplane, get my writing done, still access my spreadsheets, do some decent video editing on the go if I really need to slice up some video,
Oh yeah,
this
the
is what I'll
855 is
get on
very
an
capable.
airplane with. Not a big old laptop or even like a medium-sized laptop. Like I could get on a plane with this, and then it's easier to use on that stupid fiddly fold-out tray that they put on those airplane seats. This is it. So this, it's it's a $1,400 phone. The stylus is a little pricey. The
Mhm,
keyboard I think was $50 when it was brand new.
mhm.
And this prevents me from needing to also have a phone and a laptop when I'm on the go. This is what we're trying to accomplish. This is what we're
Exactly.
trying to get to. And a few more of these products, hitting the market, better competition, it's going to be way easier for everybody to jump on board.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I need to check out that Microsoft keyboard.
When
I didn't
when
I forgot
when
about that
I
one.
when we do this challenge, I'm going to hook you up with that keyboard too,
Oh,
because
okay, cool.
the
Nice.
keyboard, the mouse, the stylus, it feels like you're using a Surface more than you're using an Android phone. So yeah, I mean that to me becomes the whole experience. Just like a fully kitted out V60 isn't a phone in a case; it's a phone, dual display, memory card, and a Wacom pen.
Stereo
That's a fully
speakers,
kitted out
yeah,
V60.
great cameras, control over the video, and all the other options. The V series is definitely extremely powerful
But
there.
that's why I want you to use the Surface like this:
Okay.
is writing, spreadsheeting, all of this other stuff. Yeah, it doesn't take much to make this a computer replacement for the vast majority of people that are kind of using these common services, these like Google Docs or a Microsoft Office.
Oh,
It
I even did a
makes it
few
fun.
video calls on it on what's it called, Google Meets.
Yeah,
So it's actually pretty nice overall. Like I said, the form factor is absolutely nice.
that produce. Yeah,
Those
I was
mic
just gonna say
are going
that
well over
keyboard.
100 nowadays. Wow.
Yeah, because they discontinued them. I want to say they discontinued them like 3, maybe 4 years ago.
So
Um,
it's hard to get. Yeah.
they were really pushing them hard during the Continuum days when Windows Phone was
Oh
trying to be
man, I
their
remember Continuum. I saw that at IFA when it was actually the year right before you started going to IFA, and I
yeah.
saw that there.
And that's when I got
On
my folding keyboard. I have been using that thing like crazy since then. I mean, that's how well this little keyboard has held up. Any accessory needs to come back from Microsoft now in this world. One, update it so it has USB-C instead of
I
micro.
was gonna say I saw I saw the micro USB port is
Bring this back. It is such a handy, such a handy accessory to have.
yes, no, and Aditya is like, yeah, I really want one of those foldable keyboards now, definitely.
Oh, they're
Uh,
really
so here we had a question, and I know we're almost at the end. There's a couple more minutes left. Did the software update fix all
no,
of the bugs? No, it improved
no.
a lot of them. There's
Yeah.
a few of them that are gone, but there's still some work to be done. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
there's still room to grow, and it's not even bugs. I really feel part of this is understanding what it is that the phone is trying to accomplish. Like
mhm.
I said, like rotation speeds, don't show me rotation speeds being laggy because they're not. It's by design that you don't want this tablety device to twitch every time you angle it. But really what I hope Microsoft is looking to address isn't necessarily some notion of, app launch speeds or something like that. I really
No,
hope it's a
they're
few of
not trying to
these
win any of those
omissions
awards.
that that sort of we take for granted on phones like the Note,
Mhm.
right? You look at a Note and how the S Pen works, and you just expect all stylus phones are going to do the same thing. Having a pop-up screen magnifier would be helpful on a two-handed tablet-y kind of phone. Having better integration for selection tools, having handwriting to text conversion. I mean, it's easy to say, oh, Microsoft should have made this perfect from the very beginning. That was never going to be a thing, but there are a few omissions that I hope that they're looking to address in a few of these updates.
And the hope is that like I said, that's the main goal. And I like the fact that they force the update before you're able to set up your device so that there is no confusion.
Mhm.
If you're setting this up for the first time, it will be running the latest software right out of the box
But I
before you even get to use it.
I really want to again, just to staple on to the completion of that idea, and we've already said this before. We're kind of repeating ourselves here. I am not seeing the hard jank that were shown in a number of these reviews. It is not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
There is some baby jank, but I'm not seeing these hardcore crashes and stutters like we've seen. And that to me really means some of that content has to have been shot pre-update.
They were preparing. We don't know the timeline. That's the other thing. Is it seems we didn't realize the whole story of why people couldn't show the screen at the beginning is now obviously clear why.
Yeah.
But what's the timeline and when that update did get pushed? How long did they have with it and what's going on? That part of the conversation should also have been part of the editorial, so that people have a reference.
And there have been a few where the reviewer's saying like, "Oh, and look at this transition and look at how awful this is," and then they say it got a little better after the update, but they don't show you that.
You need to show both. You need to, you can't say.
I was raised to show my work when I show you the answer to a problem.
That's what my teacher said always.
That this is a byproduct of a streamlined review process, which prioritizes early algorithm engagement as opposed to the most intellectually consistently honest content. You have to have your video out in this review window because there's going to be a steep drop off. So you don't have the time to really go back and reshoot things because you got to get that thing finished and you got to make sure the editorial's done. You got to make sure all of the pretty transitions and graphics and effects are in place. That to me becomes a problem because I feel like the big peak of the commentary, because again, Surface is going to drop off rapidly. There's not going to be a ton of search on this in the coming months, but it does a disservice to the long-term tech conversation because someone picking this phone up today, literally today, if you bought it today, it would be very different than what we've seen from a number of those videos. And the person who might shop this at the end of the year is going to have a completely different experience than what these early tentpole big spike viewership videos are showing.
Yes.
That to me is the problem, is every phone is a long-term conversation, but we front load the full conclusion the day the embargo lifts. And that's wrong.
It's a tough story. It's a tough story it's a tough story to be into to actually tell, but it also isn't the whole story. Like you said, you need to have after a month, after a few updates. So that's one of the reasons why by the end of the month, the Activision Call of Duty, you got to play Call of Duty on this thing, not put the Call of Duty Activision company on it.
But yeah, it's just for Matt. It makes a fine coaster if you want it to be a coaster. It's fine.
It's a $1,513 coaster. Very nice. Made out of Gorilla Glass on both the inside and the outside. There's a really nice wing design. I love the fact that you could just open it in every single position, just like seriously, like whatever angle you want to put it in. And
isn't it so hilarious, like watching Samsung Fold fans figure that out now? Like I was saying
they did that on the Z Fold 2. They finally learned.
That's what I mean. It's like, you should be able to angle the screen in any direction you want. But on LG, that's a gimmick. But isn't it so cool that on a Fold 2, I can prop up one screen at a very specific angle to watch a video? But I can't think of anything to use a dual screen for. But isn't it so cool how the Folds can be like kind of like a split screen?
When I see flex mode on the Z Fold 2,
but isn't the Z Fold kind of fun? It's hilarious watching someone discover that on something that Samsung completely did not invent. So the last little bit of salt, unfortunately, I probably should get going here. I had to end on the snarkiest tone that I could.
We had to have that kind of experience. But with that being said, thank you very much for jumping in, Juan Carlos. Make sure you guys check it out tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. across the podcast. I was going to say the conversation's not over. It just moved to tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it'll be 1 p.m. for us. And of course, Sam and Matt and Andrew is going to be hanging out with us. Thank you very much for hanging out, sir. Appreciate your time. Absolutely. And have fun with your Surface. It's been some time.
I will take very good I'm not going to be doing anything remotely resembling durability testing because I really want you
not like this have no ninja stars.
no I mean I no more using it as a coaster. That's the last time I'll use it as a coaster because I really want you to try this because I think
The
you're
setup.
really going to dig this as the
I-
whole Surface experience. So again, for everyone here on TK stream, and thank you so much for letting me jump on your screen.
Dude,
Stream.
always. Our friend of the channel, friend of the group. The actually 90% of the people that are hanging out with us, all of our friends.
Is correct.
I would.
A salt shaker for merch. So someone can give me a salt shaker. But no, I really appreciate it. And please, everyone, keep an eye out. You know, those of us content creators at our tier, you know, we're good medium-sized channels, but we don't get helped by the algorithm. The Surface Duo is done as far as Google is concerned for YouTube popularity. And we feel it's important to continue a conversation beyond week one. That's just the beginning. Literally, we're just starting this conversation now that consumers can really buy it. And so we've got a fun challenge. I think this is going to be really cool, looking at how far we can push these expensive devices and really get our money's worth. There's no point in buying a $1,400 phone if you're not going to get $1,400 worth of use out of it.
Key little small fact, $1,300, $1,399. They're literally priced in the same ballpark. So the comparison is really, seriously, if you're thinking you're buying one over the other.
For some compromises around $1,000 fully kitted out, what does
$899? Yeah.
What does this do to shake up that conversation? I'm very much looking forward to how we're going to show down some different phones here.
What I love the fact is that your V60 is my V60. Yeah. This is how we do it here. He brought it over. Put
Ready?
it away.
I just like let me just pass it over to you.
Oh, here we go.
Thank you. Can you hand me back my V60?
Okay, here you go.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
We'll have to work on that for the next stream, by the way. We suck.
It's like the sad thing is like, oh man, we just need to own 4 copies of every phone. We got to get Max to hook us up.
Yeah, but it's like, man, yeah, I know. Max was here a couple of weeks ago. We talked about the Surface as well. It was fun. But with that being said, sir, thank you very much. Have a good day. I'm going to try to go through and we'll talk more about some of the other stuff and have fun and stay safe. So,
thanks for having me on. Have a nice rest of your stream, and everyone keep hitting TK up with questions because he's a good guy and he's got answers. Not just I think it's kind of nice in the hand. Like he's got answers. Like
that's just me messing with Juan Carlos. It's a running joke. We'll see you soon, sir. Thank you very much.
Take care, everybody. Be safe. Be well. Stay cool. Stay out of smoke and fire. And we'll definitely see you on a future stream.
Absolutely. Bye-bye, guys. So with that being said, I do want to say, oh yes, no, definitely. And we will actually get it. You know what? I forgot about it. Let me not forget to do the Inception. Gary, thank you for reminding me. And dang it, I should have done it with Juan Carlos with us, but let me just do this real quick. The TK Inception, we'll say screen 2, share, and yeah. Oh, every time it happens, it just knocks me out, man. It never stops surprising me in the way it does. Man. Yeah, we got to try that transition with Matt tomorrow. There's going to be 5 of us on that stream. It's going to be real. Like, here's the detail with DK Inception. I love it. That Benedict Cumberbatch cover, man, always gets me. Gen 2 Duo could totally be very different. I think it can. Let's go ahead and remove that one. We'll jump back. The Surface Duo 2, if they do end up working on, basically, is it an upgrade? Is it a different design change and so on? It could be very different. You're right. I don't think it's definitely going to be something where we can see any kind of indications of it now. I mean, it literally just came out on Monday. I think it was not on Monday. Was it when? Thursday. Thursday was the actual available date. So this is Jim Cleveland is mentioning just that one there. And of course, Gary going in there. I don't know why my computer really barks on live streams longer than an hour. I honestly, dude, I'm very thankful and I'm very crossing my fingers that nothing goes bad. I realized at the beginning there's a few times where the stream was a little bit janky. I think Marilyn kind of commented on that as well. How you doing, Marilyn? Looking forward to the V70. Oh, absolutely. We're close enough that we should at some point start see some rumors on that. But I think the LG wing is really the next thing that's kind of like interesting me right now as far as device and form factor. The LG brain, the LG design team is so good at bringing in concepts and new designs. The wing, or whatever it ends up being finally called, it's going to be very interesting. We'll hear about that very soon. Why does the stream keep loading in and out? Black screen jump for a few seconds towards jumps forward. It's tripping me out. The internet is it's the matrix. There's a glitch in the matrix, Matt. I hope you recognize that that's what's going on. Uh, oh, I can stream for hours, no problem with my PC. Hey, Ronald, how you doing, man? Yeah, no, it depends on how the system is and how things are going. We did start a little bit early, so that's one thing. The timing of the channel, normally it's 10:30 a.m. Pacific. This week we did it at 9:30. I wanted to get the most amount of time I was able to with Juan Carlos because he has to be out at 11, and as you guys know, he just dropped off, and the goal of the challenge that we're going to try to do, as he said, was to try to see the functionality between the two. I like the Note 20 Ultra. I think it's a very good productivity device. There was a question earlier in the stream I didn't get a chance to answer. Is does the desktop experience, or when you mirror the display on the Duo, is it intended to be more of a DeX substitute? I don't think it's intended to be a DeX substitute because DeX is a separate UI on top of what your normal screen mirroring is running. So you're using a more of think of it as like an emulator or a virtual PC on top of your Android to allow you to have that GUI interface to where it makes it look like a PC. This one, it really is only basically just mirroring what the display is on the device. So essentially, you're not getting a different display. You're getting the full desktop that you normally have, and I think this is what the intention is. No stitching between, no separate screens. You're opening Windows, it opens up fully. The UI will get better. I feel like those are things that we just need to basically work and wait. We don't basically for Microsoft to push out some more updates on that one. Sunjar is saying, "Good, Munir, goodbye, man. Hope you have a good rest of the day or good evening, depending where you are." George Haynes, Mr. Mobile Geezer, man, haven't seen you for a while. Love you. One interaction live, two class gentlemen, appreciate it, sir. And if there's one thing I miss about hanging out and going to live stream or basically conventions and so on, is the ability of hanging out and seeing old friends. So Mobile Geezer, I always run into you whenever we're going to a lot of conventions, especially CES. Unfortunately, this year we won't have the CES, but hopefully next year. And always great to be able to follow up with you. The Zero Vapes at TK Bay, خيي man, لبنان أخيرا أخيرا it's like your Arabic channel. I am in Ireland, heading back to Lebanon on the 30th. Wallah, and I wish you the best of time, and إن شاء الله بتوصل بخير وسلامة والطيارة كل شيء ماشي مظبوط كمان. Things down there in Lebanon are rebuilding, and people are trying to find new ways, obviously, to move on and live with the new normal, obviously, and how things are being worked on. But I wish you a safe trip, and hopefully you have some great times, man. I appreciate it, and I'm happy that some people. I think his comment is mostly referencing is they're starting. Some Lebanese people are starting to find my channel, which is really cool because I really don't do a lot of promoting on my Arabic channel. It's mostly doing its own thing, and but that's generally where most people are. It's like Lebanon, Egypt, I think Jordan and Syria. I think mostly because of the dialect that I speak in Arabic. I think it picks up on it right there. Big Doc Tech, NFL football coach here. Love the Duo. Works very well, and I need with what I needed to do. I love it. You seriously have to try. This is one of those very few. I'm not saying don't believe the tech videos. I'm just saying when you watch something on something that is so brand new, especially when somebody in the description or in the video says the update fixed some of it, but they don't exactly like Juan was saying, doesn't show you how it's fixed. You want to watch a long video? I did a 21-minute video yesterday, a 23-minute video that had a lot of footage of me using the device, and you could see how the UI is working, how the functionalities are there. It is a lot different than some of the images or some of the videos that we've seen on the other side. We need to get me and Sam to an event in the future to meet up with you guys. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Once things start picking up again and we're somewhat into the new norm kind of thing, I think so very, very much. UK. Are we back? Yes. I think this is the system trying to tell me, TK, it's time to kind of work it. Let's see a few more questions. How's the battery life improved on the Pixel 4a with Android 11? In the last couple of days that I've used it, it's been about the same. I haven't noticed any big difference on it. As far as it lasts me through a day, and it doesn't have any problem. And I got about 4.5 hours of screen on time. I installed it right away but you have to understand I was running the alpha on it and the beta. So to me, the experience got better, but it wasn't like Android 10 to 11 kind of a straight experience for me. I've been on the 11 for so long on the Pixel 4a. I got it in as soon as it became available for the last beta 3. I was on it with the Pixel 3a since the original developer preview. So battery isn't bad. Let's just say this. And it's not worse than it used to be before. Oliver is asking, by the way, have you decreased the font and the UI size? I did more apps view on tablet apps. I did decrease the font size a little bit and the actual icon size a little bit. I wanted to fit more. I wanted it to be basically a little bit more of a desktop. Like I want to see more. That's the best way to say it. So you want it to fit more things in there. And that's one of the nice things. You can actually customize a lot of these things, as you can with most Androids, but they put in the detail there. Gary, yesterday I heard someone literally call it the LG wing, the LG crucifix. LG crucifix. It's the design is unique. I feel like that's really the big thing that we have to look at. This is definitely LG at its best, trying to discover what's new. But I love, at least from the demos that I've seen, the fact that you're able to use it and do multiple things with that form factor and then kind of flip it over. It reminds me of basically like the BlackBerry's last one with the sliding keyboard. Those are the things that we kind of enjoy. Obviously, it's a moving part, so there's going to be some limitations there, but we'll have to see if that actually ends up being back one of those. Now a lock. We'll have to see how that one goes. So here, there's a nice difference on the Pixel 4 XL. Greg, oh yeah, definitely appreciate it. And of course, Greg has been doing some really good work as far as if you're interested in root and stuff like that, please make sure to hit up Greg. He's doing a lot of good work as far as getting root running on the Pixel 4 XL. What do you think of the Surface Duo with the Samsung Infinity O display? So the interface for the Infinity O display, I think if you think of the way the Z Fold 2 is running it right now, the display wouldn't have benefited much. I mean, obviously we would have had smaller bezels on the sides, but at the end of the day, it's still, 8.3 inches to start with is a big display. I mean, we're looking realistically, this is a lot of real estate. And we're saying essentially is if we had an Infinity O display, the display just goes further up. It would make it more of a streamlined experience. Maybe that would be the best way to say it. But I feel like I think for Gen 1, even Samsung had a notch, let's put it that way. And I think that's what they're doing. Probably Gen 2 will have to benefit from that. Brian M., if the Duo could fit into your pocket, I would, if the Duo, could fit in your pocket, I could see the reason for it folding, but it can't unless you wear, serious, I don't know how to explain it maybe the best way. Hold on a second. Okay. This is the Pixel 4 XL. Obviously, not a very big phone. That's how much bigger the Surface Duo is. It's not that much bigger, and this fits in your pocket. There is no reason why this wouldn't. Whatever you lose, whatever you're not gaining in thickness here, where it forces your pocket to go wider, this goes further in because of the way it is. So the reality is, it's not a form factor issue as far as fitting it. You're not going to be putting it in your pocket. I mean, nobody's going to be putting it in a pocket in this form, right, Brian? It's always going to be folded, and it's going to definitely work really nice. I don't really see it as a big problem, but I understand what you mean. I love that little wink at the end there. If you guys are headed to, if we were ahead at the EVA, we could have picked up for non-media customers, consumer tickets for myself and met up with you guys. Yeah, IFA this year was, surprisingly, IFA did actually occur. There's some things that did go around it. And of course, depending on where you were and what part of the world, traveling to Europe or even within Europe, travel within Europe is a little bit junky as well. Ronald Collins is asking, is it the second time LG has done this? Okay, maybe I'm missing something here. Let me see if I can find your comment. Now a lookup. Oh, boop, boop, boop. Okay, I'm missing part of the question. I'm not sure what part of what is it that LG is doing twice. Maybe let's see if I said Matt. The LG Wing. Oh, I think you're talking about the LG Wing is getting some hate from some big creators before they even see it or probably. It's I I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Sometimes it bringing attention to it is the only way they're able to bring attention to that. I don't know. It's not the best way to do it, but yeah, you can't really talk about something you haven't had a chance to use. I mean, you can conceptually talk about it, but not necessarily hate on it yet. What you experience when it comes to Surface Duo battery life? So being that this is a 48 hours, I fully charged it the first day when I got it. I picked it up, I set it up, and I started using it. I've had to charge it once, and actually, I want to say once, or I think I topped it off twice. I haven't really had a chance to run it on full course. And right now I'm running at 51% from last night's charge. So not necessarily a bad experience as overall, like, is it dying like right away? But there's still that whole setup process, trying a whole bunch of things. I wouldn't say it's enough time for me to justify battery life. Honeymoon setup process time is never a good time to experience it, but it's not bad enough that I would say that, oh my God, it's dying on me. That's maybe a better way to say it. Battery life is so far okay. It needs a little bit more time for me to be able to get a good experience of how battery life is on a daily, as using it as a daily device. So we'll have to see on that one a little bit more. Here, let me see here. I think that's what we were just talking about. Ronald, the LG VX 9400 on Verizon. Ooh, man, you're bringing back an old one there. Hold on, let me see if I can bring that up. So the LG VX 9400. Oops, if I can turn on my here. On Verizon. Oh, yeah, I remember this one. You're right. You're right. That is technically the first time LG did something similar to this. It wasn't a separate display. So let me see if I can bring it up here. Wired magazine had an article on this. Let's see if I can bring it, and I'll share that with you guys. So here's what I think what Ronald is mentioning on his end. Let's see, bring that up here. So this is the LG VX 9400. It's the first time LG did a swiveling display. It was kind of like their answer to the Sidekick back in the day, and it was definitely an interesting, unique device. Sells for about $150 now. Wow. Thank you for pointing that out, Ronald. I appreciate that there. High-on-forums.com. Yeah, definitely. If you want to check out both either Greg or basically High on Android, if you're not actually familiar with them. What else did you expect? It's an LG. Change the logo, make it a certain fruit, and a certain other South Korean electronics brand. People will sing praise to it. That's how we do it, man. That's how we're doing it. In Lebanon, the Surface Duo will be like 15,000 Lebanese or 2,000. If you're able to get the $2,000, but you're right. Yeah, the exchange rate it's going to be in between. You bring in import taxes. Import taxes alone are going to be crazy going down there. But yeah, man, no, it's going to be tough. If I'm not mistaken, right now it's not even available in Europe. It's mostly in the US. So that's another limitation right now. They're not talking about what's the availability outside of the United States. So that's something I hope that they will talk about it a little bit more. People really need to see the 45-minute interview. Yeah, so there's a video that just got posted. I think that I saw it on Twitter. There's an interview with Panos and with Lou. They're talking, basically going over. There's a lot of good answers, a lot of good questions being put in there behind the design and the specs of what you're getting with the Surface Duo. So it's a great video. I would say brew some tea or get your coffee, and it's definitely one you want to basically sit down and watch. A lot of good things in there. The Tony Stark phone. Yes. You remember it. Aditya. See, you know. So yeah, no. Yeah, Vegeta again. It's interesting this time. So with that, I posted a couple of videos. You guys know we did the hands-on that we did a couple of weeks ago at Best Buy. Tech Odyssey got his, and I think Sam got his. Tomorrow it's going to be a good live stream between Sam, myself, Fat Produce, Andrew Wallace, of course, as well as Juan Carlos over on. Let me see if I can do this one here. Over on Across the Podcast, it is 1:00 in the afternoon. So Matt Tyler is going to be there as well. In the review, see real quick. A review about software definitely needs to include TK for sure. Thank you, Matt. I try to always cover that. I mean, like at the end of it, most of the time when I try to do the videos, I realize some of my videos are longer than most other videos. that's because there's a lot more to talk about than just glancing over certain things, especially with a form factor like this. The software plays a big factor into how you enjoy it, how do you use it. Knowing these little things and knowing these in advance before you to say if you do make an investment into this, or if you do want to maybe try it out, it's something to consider. And that way you're basically going into it knowing exactly what you're getting. You're not necessarily going to get that surprise at the end of the day. So I always appreciate when people I realize some of my videos are a little bit long. In the in the UK, the only foldable available is the Galaxy Fold devices. Nothing from LG or Microsoft yet. We really need these devices to come over to bring more competition. I'm realizing it is pretty much a singular market at this point. LG, for the most part, like the original V50 was primarily for Korea, so it wasn't anywhere else. The G8X came out to only a specific certain number of markets. And of course, the accessory cases, it became more functional with the G8X, but I think the V60 US, the Velvet is across. But I think depending on the markets in Europe, I think the Velvet did come, but just maybe not to the UK. I realized that much. At Oliver, YouTube, yes. It is on Louis, sorry. I think it's Unbox Therapy later. It's not his main channel. It's the separate one. Oop. Davin Davis. TK, I'm looking forward to the Gen 2 of the Duo. I think Microsoft is onto something here. Absolutely. If there is anything that they can definitely learn from, it's the ability of getting it into people's hand and getting the feedback of how the usability, how users are appreciating this form factor. The initial wave of videos that came out had a mixed bag of early software, new update. Again, there's that whole... It's a little bit of a mixed story because I feel like we need to have that follow-up story. But again, it's hard. It's hard, right? The demand for this is with so many more things coming up, more people are going to be looking for other things. So my goal is, while Juan finishes up his coverage on the Surface Duo on his channel, and then we're getting more into the second part, like closer to the end of September, we can kick it off with a nice little challenge comparison between the two. And at that point, I'll be able to play again with the Surface Duo and get a chance to do some more coverage for you guys. I appreciate it, Greg. Always, man. Thank you very much. Lou Later, yes. So it's under Lou Later. If I think that's where the video was posted. Sorry, that was a DT. Zero Vapes. It says TK. I got into Android because of you on XDA. Man, thanks, dude. And you're one of the best reviewers over on XDA. You're awesome, man. Keep it up. Appreciate it. Shukran. Allah khalin. And appreciate it. No, definitely. I still produce. I just did push a video, I think, earlier this week with the Android 11 beta on the OnePlus 8 over an XDA, and that one actually doing really well. It's a great community. It's a lot of good people, and of course, hopefully, we'll see how things are going. They're doing some changes in there. We'll have to figure out how things are going there. I don't know if you guys may have heard it or not, but I think Max is over at Android Police now. I saw that this morning over on Twitter. There was a few people chit-chatting about it. Have the Lewis interview on my on YouTube posted on Discord. Yes, appreciate it, man. When you close up the Duo, does the glass from each side touch, or is there raised? Actually, they do touch. So this edge or this part of the device is touching. Where actually, I take that back. No, the whole device touches. There is no gap at all. In my mind, for some reason, I was imagining the C Fold 2 and what the Surface Duo do, but no. The way the hinge is set up here, because it's the same, so the hinge is the same thickness as the device. So when you're going flat, it's extremely flat. When it's going top of each other, it's all the way closed. So I wonder how that's going to be once you're using the bumper. There's a bumper that's included in the case that I didn't get a chance to use yet. That may add a little bit of gap between the two. So I'll have to check that out for you, Matt, and maybe Juan Carlos can answer us that question tomorrow. The second gen device will be like the Surface Go device, hardware wise, in my opinion. It could be a good decision for them to move to that. Please. Oh, okay. So Oliver, yeah. So they're going to post it over on the Discord, on Juan Carlos's Discord. TK, your deep looks into the software, which is what we mainly use to interact, which is always appreciated, and appreciate your comment, of course. Yes, no, definitely. Davin Davis, sorry. I liked what I saw when I paid with it at Best Buy. I'd love the big screen. I can see someone carrying a Duo plus the Bluetooth headphones and a keyboard for super productive, less bulky experience. Absolutely, there's a lot of things that you can do with it. Bluetooth though is pretty much the best way to interface with this. There's literally only one port. There's no headphone jack, and for the most part, I feel like they wanted you kind of just keep the headphone jacks. Keep the experience for Bluetooth, so you can get that audio, also your keyboard connectivity, and I think you'll be able to get a super nice minimal option and not have to carry an expensive laptop or anything like that for those. The interview is available on the okay, so it is available on the main channel, but I think they're going to post it in the Discord channel anyways, so we'll be able to see it. Hey TK, pretty sure Microsoft's idea behind this is to implement a mobile gaming platform as well. That would be a very interesting experience, and I feel like we haven't seen much on that part right now. Mostly the Xbox team is doing their thing, and with the One S and the new options that they're talking about. But I feel like Juan Carlos was saying, definitely having this with a with a wireless controller with a nice little setup with a Microsoft Pass setup, and this absolutely at the 855 is way more than capable of doing it. But I feel like Bluetooth connectivity for gaming is not the best situation. That's my only concern. When you bring Bluetooth, you bring latency and audio latency when you're playing games. It's a little bit, so maybe with a dock type of an experience, that may be a better situation. I'm more concerned about the durability of the glass if both sides touch, possible cracking or scratching. And I think that's why I was asking about the whole bumper. Let me see if I can open it up. I have the bumper case sitting right here. And what I meant by that is the bumper case itself does, I think, add some thickness, or not thickness. It'll add like a little gap between the two devices. So here. So the bumper is really like, if I'm not mistaken, here, we'll put it in here. Let me put the other option, because there's two pieces to the bumper. There's the bumper right and then the bumper left. It says the guy that knows. No, I'm just kidding. So let's see here. You know what, guys? It's a tough thing without sticking the glue, but yeah, I'm gonna say that here. It does actually separate the glass. It does create a gap, but it seals the gap. So the way the bumper actually adds, because of the actual rubber that it sits on the top, the second piece, not the main piece, it actually creates a little bit of a gap between the two. So hopefully we'll see more options protecting it. But I'm with you. If sand gets in there and you're closing it the wrong way, it could potentially cause some problems with the actual hardware. But right now, not an issue at all. I think, like I said, for me, it's couple of days. I'd say honeymoon phase. Still working on that part. And we are crossing the 2 hour, Paco. Okay, Xbox Series S here. Xbox Series S or Xbox Series X or PlayStation. Honestly, for me, I would probably go with the Series X, mostly because I just want the higher, the more, not just all digital experience. Nothing against PlayStation, but I have a much bigger library or game library that I have on Xbox already, and I'd love to be able to keep all of those, although I may be checking out both. Just like Microsoft did with Samsung and implementation of Game Pass, they can do that with their own devices. Remember, this is the first one probably, and maybe on the next one, of course. Next one here. I wonder if it would be okay with a tempered glass screen protector. It's going to be very hard with a tempered glass screen protector, because if once you add it on both devices, the hinge won't close. I think this is, if anything, because it's glass on glass, like a typical display. I think whatever protector needs to go on will have to be very thin. And I'm actually still trying to find out more case options. I'm hoping we'll see more options and more different options to protect the device that will provide us that little bit of a thickness there, separation. Not that we want to make it thicker, but if any glass goes in there, the S does 1440p, which again, it's mostly about the, I think for me, it's just that the S is all digital, and I don't want to just stick to all digital. I still like to be able to use some of my games. So those are my only concerns there. Zero. Okay. So TK, I could imagine someone running some sort of desktop OS on the Duo, like Linux or even Windows. Right now, with the way it's set up, with the system, the way it's set up, I think it's not that it's impossible. I think desktop mode by default is disabled. So Microsoft is intentionally not allowing us to use desktop mode, even though it does support external display. Running a separate VM, like another system, like running maybe a Linux, like I would say like a small, like I wouldn't say Red Hat. Red Hat is usually a big install, but like running Linux on this thing is probably not something that we too far fetched, since it'll be easy to run it over Android. But I'm wondering to see how we see more desktop experience. I feel like when you connect it to a TV, when you connect it to an external display and you're using it and you're using your desktop, and your desktop is literally like as if it's a Windows desktop with the ability of snapping windows, they've kind of already bridged into a desktop experience. So their existing UI is desktop / mobile at the same time. It's very interesting and very, very, very unique. I haven't had a chance to do a question. I haven't had a chance to check out as far as the bootloader unlocking option, but I think it's Windows on ARM. Windows 10 ARM is going to be something that is very, very, very powerful if they're able to get it. If we're able to get a port or some kind of like a boot up of it on the Duo, absolutely making this into a true Windows machine as opposed to a Windows experience running on Android kind of an experience. I think it would be very powerful, Paco. I think that would be something very strong, but if there's not enough demand for it, that's where it becomes kind of an interesting. So we need to get this thing in I'd probably say like getting in the hands of some developers that are willing to basically experiment and try to get Windows on ARM to boot and get it running. Because the problem is the drivers, really. It's more of the compatibility. It's not like it's a easy install. Android, obviously open source, it's different. You're able to kind of go into it, but Windows as an ecosystem is not as easily jumped into. Ecosystem. I know I said the word ecosystem too many times. Dealing with Helium will be even less fun for the Surface Duo. Oh man, you guys are. What is you? I'm not sure if you're asking me. So for me, it's TKDSL8655, but for My Tech Reviews is at My Tech Reviews, and it's pinned to his profile now, so you'll be able to see it there. Here, Microsoft already has a Qualcomm device, Surface X. Was it? They do have the Surface X, and I think that was the one that was running on Verizon. So that one is running a different chipset. So the chipset that we're getting there is the HCX, which is a mobile chipset that is intended to be desktop optimized, and it's running on an always-on connected PC. So maybe putting a the interface for that, it's also very different with the processor. That's not the 855. So that was actually beyond. It's more closely to the 865 series of devices as opposed to the 855. So just from the class of processors, that's also a 5G modem. So there's a whole bunch of different, I would say, support for it. But again, it does come down to that whole driver and open sourceness of that. The inability of maybe booting it in there is not going to be an issue. It's more like making it recognize the hardware that it's on, because the Duo doesn't work like the Surface X in any shape. They're not very similar. There's always that whole dual display functionality, and also understanding that it is not separate hardware and treating them as one massive display. That's a lot of optimizations done on the background there. Don't forget the Surface. Oh, the Surface Neo. Yeah. Did they? Whatever happened to the Surface Neo? Like the Duo and the Neo were originally announced at the same time, and the Neo was supposed to be the bigger one. But I haven't seen anything on that. Is coming. Yes. No, I haven't seen a lot of more information on that yet. The Neo is delayed, right? Yeah, exactly. No, I think you guys are answering all my questions. The Neo. Oh, hope the Neo, if for Europe, if ends up basically releasing it there. Okay. So with that being said, I want to say thank you very much to everybody that joined us on the stream. Everybody that had a chance to jump in. Paco, Ronald, of course, Matt Tyler, Greg jumping in there as well. I saw obviously Andrew Wallace, Davin as well, and of course we saw Marilyn was in there as well. There's a lot of people I definitely want to mention. Gray Wolf, see there as well, and we'll. No, I've been running it actually on my AT&T SIM card right now, just kind of answering Gray's Wolf right there. Oliver, of course, Era 1980, and of course, Zero Vapes. Hit me up, by the way, on Twitter. I'd love to be able to chat with you there sometime. Thank you very much for joining the chat. Again, thank you to Juan Carlos for jumping in with us for the first hour and a half of the show. Tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m., make sure to check out Sam and Matt, as well as myself and Fat Produce, Andrew, and of course, Juan Carlos. We're going to discuss more Surface Duo goodness, but also have just a nice little end of the week chat, hanging out with some friends over at Across the Podcast. And of course, if you follow me on Twitter, TKDSL8655, or here on YouTube, just TK Bay, or actually just look me up, TK Bay. Let the beard guide you. That's the best way I can say for you to find me. If you're looking around and you see the beard, you know you're at the right channel. Yes, no, I appreciate it. Always appreciate all the support that you guys are doing, and of course all the hard work that you guys are also spending time hanging out with us, commenting, sharing, liking, all of that good stuff. So with that being said, be safe, stay cool. If you're in LA and in the California area, be safe. Air is not the best, so I would say basically stay indoors if you can, and try to stay healthy. And of course, take care of yourselves. Connect with your friends. Connect with your family if you haven't talked to them for some time. Everybody and anybody would love to be able to hear from somebody, even if just a hello. It'll always make somebody's day. So with that being said, like and subscribe. Thank you very much for the support. I'll see you guys very soon, and make sure you check out in about an hour or so, the live stream audio will be available via podcasting. And of course, we'll see more coverage on this brand new amazing device from Microsoft, the Microsoft Surface Duo. Take care, you guys. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye-bye for now.